Hey everybody, this is Chuck, and this is a repost of our Halloween 2019 episode from the Chuck and Brad feed. We had Ray on, of course. This is one of those episodes that was early on in our friendship where we were kind of realizing how much fun it was just to get together in the room and joke around. This was from the Chuck and Brad podcast, number 438. And of course, we hope to eventually have all the Chuck, Ray, and Brad appearances from before Funbearable together on the Funbearable feed. So this is just another one. We figured, we always try to max out the Halloween postings, and here's another repost. We did one last year and the year before, and so here's a third repost of one of our Halloween episodes together. Just quickly checking over the notes. Let's see, what did we talk about? Oh, yeah, we had a Halloween Spooktacular with Ray when there was a Miller's Roast Beef was our sponsor, and I made the Beefo Lantern. That was very fun. Brad tells us about the history of candy bar names, which is going to come back this year for our live Halloween episode that'll get posted this month. And yeah, a lot of fun stuff. And I love listening back to these old ones because it feels like, we can barely remember them. And I'm like, man, I love just the idea that how many hours of Halloween podcasting between Ray, Brad, and myself are on the Funbearable feed now. I wonder. It's got to be dozens. And I am very proud of that. And I think it's very, very fun. And I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you're in Halloween overload mode from Funbearable, as we want to put you in every year. I think we have a very special November coming up. I think we have a very special December coming up, but after this, you're still going to get two more brand new Halloween Funbearable episodes, so stay tuned for them, and please enjoy the Chuck and Brad podcast number 438 featuring Ray Harrington, Halloween 2019. I'm comedian, writer, and filmmaker Chuck Staten from the punk band Senior Discount.
And I'm writer and comedian Brad Rohr from the Providence Improv Guild.
And this is the Chuck and Brad Podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 438 of the Chuck and Brad Podcast.
I'm Chuck.
I'm Brad.
How you doing, Brad?
It's been a long day, but I'm here. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Good.
We're here with our buddy and international comedian Ray Harrington.
It's true.
The first time I introduced you, I said you were from Rhode Island, and you took umbrage.
I did not take umbrage. I was clarifying the situation.
Yeah.
So I live in Rhode Island. I'm just not from Rhode Island.
And you performed internationally. True.
Yes, but the way you said it was like I slipped you a note. Like, listen, this is how I'd like to be introduced today.
Either that, or like you kind of work like James Bond, but you just make people laugh, and that's it.
Yes.
I do have a license to kill.
Would that James Bond laugh like the Joker right after, like you just did?
I think so.
Oh, no.
So Ray is on again this year for our annual Halloween episode.
Yes.
You were on last year, too.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite episodes of the podcast ever. That episode
very
last
nice.
year, yeah.
I almost said thank you, but then I was like, no, I don't want to take ownership over it.
Right. You could take 33% ownership.
Yeah.
0.3.
Yeah, and then I'm slowly going to weasel more percentage out of both of you until I have controlling shares.
Do you know how long that episode is?
14 days.
It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And people wrote to me, and they loved it. A lot, more than one person.
Who are these
wrote to me.
people?
A couple people wrote to me. And
They
they loved
wrote
it.
you letters?
People comment on stuff.
You received letters in the mailbox.
I'll put it this way. We put up an episode last week. Did you see what it was?
I did not. I'm sorry.
It was the yearly turtle hunt that I do that we've talked about before.
Right, yes.
Looking for the turtles action figures.
I'm glad I didn't see it then.
We recorded we recorded in the car the whole day, and I turned it into a podcast episode.
Yeah.
And someone commented on it, and they were like, "This episode was so fun. I love this. This is so great." And so people comment,
that's fantastic. Derek Furtado and I recorded almost exclusively in the car for the past, the last 30 or 40 episodes of our podcast.
Yeah. Well, people are able to kind of easily contact us, but
More than, a couple people liked it.
The internet, man. It just allows people to connect.
I know.
It's such a
you're the one that asked.
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
I'm answering your question,
I'm trying to think. There's not a single negative thing that the internet has brought us. I honestly we are truly better off today as a people, as a society, as individuals. I think our mental health is much better.
I agree.
I think our sense of self,
Yes.
self-worth,
Right.
place in the world and the universe. I think all of those things are so much better. Thank you, internet. Thank you.
This spurs a discussion, but I don't know if we should have this discussion on the Halloween episode. It's not very Halloween-y. But let me just real quick. For our last Halloween episode, do you remember the topics we talked about?
We talked about Halloween. We talked about
your childhood Halloween stuff.
Yeah, and then didn't we spend some time talking about Pet Cemetery?
We talked about Pet Cemetery and the ghost and why he was there in the first film version.
Was that the one where you told the story about that
Willie?
kid?
Yeah, Willie. Yeah. Telling my mom about
Oh man, that's the best part.
I mentioned it last week too in the Halloween the Turtle Hunt episode. A different thing that he did.
I think if you just cut out that part of the episode and just released it would be the best.
I think I honestly we used to take portions of our videos that would be like, let's say like a bit, right? Let's say we do a 20-minute video and I would take a 90-second clip. Mm-hmm. We put them up as like little clips and I'm like, oh, I'd love to do that with the podcast.
They call those trailers.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Previews.
Right. So that would definitely be one. I love that. That was when I told you that. It was so funny.
That's going to get a potty for sure.
Yeah.
That's up for a potty.
We also talked about, you had the question of like, if we could all revive one person from the dead, what would we do?
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was the Elvis tour we talked about he is a zombie, but the people, the handlers.
Yeah.
That was it was a great episode. And it just rolled forward. That was the comment that someone said to me. They said, the episode that you guys did was 2.5 hours long. It never lagged. It never dropped in energy, and it was just roll.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, that's great.
You know what so much of that is?
What?
The guests that you have.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I think that's a big part of it.
I'll say, speaking of this, I had a friend who listened to the episode, and you recommended the book House of Leaves.
Oh, yeah.
She bought the book because of your enthusiasm for the project.
Nice.
I have no idea if she's read it, but she bought it.
And you've never heard from her again.
It has been a while.
Mm-hmm. Huh. She was leafed up.
Yep.
Is that what happens in the leaves?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yep. I like to stand in a Barnes & Noble with House of Leaves open until somebody who works there goes, can I help you? And I can go, no, just leaf peeping. And then I just smile.
Leaf peeping.
And then they look at me, and then I just keep eye contact with them. But then I drift my eyes down. And my penis is out of my pants.
It's in the book, right? You say, I lost my bookmark. Can you help me find it? Sir, it's right.
And then I go, it looks like I'm leaf peeping too. You know?
You know what? There's a second book that you're holding lower.
And that one's Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
All right. So Ray's on the show today. We're going to have a Halloween time. And, it's funny because we'll get to it in a second, but we don't have a lot of Halloween topics, and that's going to be a big part of this.
What? I brought all these notes. No.
Yes. But before we do that, let's do some updates. What do you got going on, Brad?
This weekend, Chuck and I will be at Comic-Con, at RI Comic-Con. We will be hosting some panels. We'll be. I think we technically have a table. Is that right?
Yeah, they told us last minute that we have a table, so we'll have a little home base, and we'll have like stickers and pins and stuff to give out if you want to see the Chuck and Brad podcast there. But we are moderating Friday night for the actors who play Kevin and Stanley from The Office.
That's great.
So we'll be on stage with them. Our Office panel last year was at capacity, and as I found out afterwards, a lot of people were turned away. So you might want to get there early. Saturday, Friday night we're going to be doing. We're still figuring it out, but we're definitely going to be moderating a panel for Brian O'Halloran, who is famous for playing Dante in Clerks, Clerks 2, and a lot of the View Askew movies.
Oh, come on. He's done so much more than that, though.
He was in Vulgar, too.
Yes. And the stuff outside of Kevin Smith stuff that he's done.
Yes.
Like, you're doing the panel with him, so you know, right?
Yeah, Clerks, the animated series, which is my favorite.
Outside of Kevin Smith stuff, though.
Yes, he's done a lot of stuff. It's early in the week. A lot of research to be done, and he's a great guy. I know Brian.
Yes,
I know
yeah.
He's a great guy, and we're trying to put together something special for that. whatever, we'll say it on the podcast, right? We're trying to put together Chuck and Brad reimagine Clerks with Brian O'Halloran, so that we do the bit where we take Brad's drawings of a movie, he draws every scene, we write a new narration, and kind of do our own version of the film live. And we're trying to do it with Brian O'Halloran, but we got the news kind of late about how it has to happen, and we had to do our Halloween show at the Comedy Connection, which was last night. So we were kind of in writing and rehearsal for that until last night, and so now we can start on that, and hopefully it works out. But either way, we'll be doing a panel with Brian O'Halloran on Friday night. Then Saturday, what do you got?
Saturday day, I have a panel with people from the Amazon Prime series The Tick. Mm-hmm. So the two creators, whose names elude me.
Yes.
And then the actors Griffin Newman.
Yes.
And Peter Serafinowicz. Mm-hmm. And Patrick Warburton, who is a producer on that show, but played the Tick in the live action, the previous,
the original
version
live action
of the live action Tick.
Heads up, I love Peter Serafinowicz.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of his.
Yep.
I enjoy a lot of his stuff, and he did a sketch show in the UK.
Yes.
That was phenomenal. I loved what he did, and I really like his sense of humor. So if you can just relay that to him, I'd really appreciate it. However, I will say, as a heads up too, double check the pronunciation of his name.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. That.
I believe we all say Peter Serafinowicz, and I think it's Witch.
Oh, Witch.
Yeah, and because his brother is like a producer or something like that, or some kind of performer, and he corrected somebody. So Google that stuff.
Yes,
all right,
absolutely.
All right.
Well,
but also more importantly, just tell him Ray Harrington, who he does not know and shouldn't know, really enjoys him.
I mean, you're international.
Yeah, you are.
So
he might know you. Yeah, that's
all
right.
Yeah.
We'll get something for Ray. We'll do something for Ray.
Yeah.
From Peter.
From Peter.
Yeah, not from you guys. I want something.
What if it was a picture of us moderating and signed by all three of us?
Nah, that's not. I don't want that. I really don't want that.
We give you a a regular picture. 2 months later, someone's at your house and like, what's this long picture of Peter Serafinowicz in the middle of a table?
Yeah. And you know what I don't want either that would really bum me out is because people do this. I see people do this all the time. They want a video from someone instead of a let's take a selfie together, or they're like, can you make a video for my cousin? All that stuff. I would be like, I really do appreciate that. Thank you guys. Thank you, Bradley and Chuckery, for doing that for me. I don't want this. You know what I mean?
What if we said that like Ray was like a terminally ill child that we knew, and he's like, "Hey Ray, good luck."
There's just a knock on my door.
No, in the video. So he's like, "Hey buddy, good luck,
really
man.
Pulling for you.
I'm glad you're hanging in there."
Yeah.
But then if you're having just a bad day, you could watch that video.
Exactly.
No,
like,
you
I
know
don't
what
I am
way.
hanging in there.
You know what my problem is? I wouldn't like the video no matter what, because I'd be like, oh man, now Peter Serafinowicz just thinks I'm some weird fanboy that
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know. That's
then
funny.
I'm not a person, I'm a fan. And it's like,
wow.
no.
No, you know what, by the way, on the record, I think fans are people too.
You know what I mean. You absolutely know what I mean.
Are those all the panels you have Saturday?
I think so, yeah.
And then on Sunday morning, I'll be moderating for Christina Ricci. And so I'm going to be doing a panel with her and asking her a lot of questions.
Oh, ask her if she can get me something connected with Peter Serafinowicz.
I love Christina Ricci. I think it's going to be delightful.
Sure, yeah.
It's going to be a fun time. So we'll be at Rhode Island Comic Con all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, this coming weekend, November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Yes.
And Google her name too, because I think we all say Ricci, but I don't think it is.
I think it might be like the first C is pronounced like an S.
Yeah, and the
second one is a K, so it's like Christina Risky.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that's her production company is Risky Business.
I better just call her that.
Yeah.
Just without clarifying beforehand.
Yes.
I think you should. We talked about things that you could do.
Oh,
for
we
that
did.
Panel.
Yeah, we did.
I really like the idea of you having cards, a stack of cards that you're constantly flipping through.
Nervously,
yeah. I mean, it gets a little close to like Between Two Ferns, but it's different.
Yes.
And just you could call her like Chrissy Ricky, and you. Miss Ricky, let me ask you this.
You know what we should do? We should put like a tube up the back of my shirt and put it into my hair. That just like sweat. Like fake sweat. No, it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be.
I'll say if I anticipate,
she seems very down to earth.
I anticipate that panel being very well attended. If it's not, I'm going to make it a mission to embarrass Chuck.
Yeah,
please don't.
Yes.
But it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
Christine Ricci, let me ask you another question.
You know, the Office panel we did last year
sounds like pasta.
You know, I think the Office.
Pardon me, Miss Ricci.
How do you respond?
When you did Black Snake were you the snake or the moan?
I didn't get it.
I didn't get the movie.
I'll say we did our Office panel last year with Catherine Flannery,
Kate Flannery,
and Creed Bratton.
Yeah.
And man, that was like one of my podcast highlights.
Yeah.
That was so fun. It was the room was like super full, and I think we had a very fun back and forth with them.
I made a joke that Kate absolutely loved. So
she did.
I will take that with me. And
hell yeah.
Yeah,
it was good.
So and at some point, Chuck and I have to like write the questions for these interviews.
Yeah. We've been busy until last night with the Halloween show, Chuck and Brad's Halloween Spooktacular 2019, which we'll talk about tonight on the show.
I got some ideas for you for the Riche Q&A that you, if you need them. If you need questions for Christine Ricci, I can help you with that.
I like that your name sounds like pasta. I think that's a good one.
Yeah. The key is you have to pronounce her name differently every single time.
Yeah, sure. I will.
Christine Reeds. Oh man! And then like you have to step back and like go at it again. You know, Christine. Oh.
I just shake it off. Yeah.
Christina Freef. Oh. There's no F in it. There's no F in it.
Christina Applegate. No, wrong one.
But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And anything else, Brad?
I'm back at the Providence Improv Guild on November 8th, and then I have a show at Wage House on November 15th, and then I have something on the 22nd, and I don't remember what at all.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah.
And for me, I have a show with Senior Discount, my band, the night before Thanksgiving. It's a Wednesday. I think it's the 27th, maybe. I don't know if it's 27th.
Yeah, that looks right.
But that's October.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. But that's going to be at FET in Providence with Providence, Rhode Island with 10 Cents Short and other bands that I'll look up for next time because it's not coming up too soon.
Right.
Ray, anything to plug?
Not that I want to.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah, I'm doing shows.
Yeah, he's doing shows. What's your website?
RayHarringtonComedy.com. The way I'm saying I'm doing shows is like I'm not doing shows, but I guys, I'm doing shows.
He's doing shows.
There's stuff going on, so a lot of behind the scenes things.
Good.
This all sounds like excuses, and it's not.
It's true. We talk about it. There's stuff going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and these are the scenes. So we can't talk about it here.
Put it here.
Yeah.
So they're going on behind it. So
right. When I pull back the curtain, then you can see behind the scenes.
That
which is why I do that a lot.
I use that expression every episode.
Yes, I do. One time I use it all the time.
Working on a project with Christina Ricci.
She's my sister. So we're doing our Halloween show today. I think the first thing we'll talk about is our Halloween comedy show that we did yesterday.
Absolutely.
And kind of get that out of the way because, that's a Halloween thing. We started a couple years ago, Chuck and Brad's Halloween.
Oh, man, this story's going way back.
Well, we're going to give weekly updates from 2 years ago when we did Chuck and Brad's Halloween Spectacular 2017.
This is how you make a good podcast, is you have to think of every podcast as someone's first podcast.
Thanks.
Stan Lee.
All right.
2 years ago, Brad and I started doing a live comedy show around Halloween called Chuck and Brad's Halloween Spooktacular. Ray, you were on that show.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't do it the following year, 2018, because we did a Back to the Future show, and it's kind of around the same time. We did it the first week of November. So this year, we did Chuck and Brad's Halloween Spooktacular for the second time on October 27th. At the Comedy Connection in East Providence, Rhode Island.
Do that with the Christina Ricci thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm practicing. So we did it last night, and it was funny because we didn't. How can I put this? The time just like when we do our shows, we say we'll do something like this, and we'll do this, and we'll do something to close it, and we kind of have these slots, and how much work goes into every slot really is kind of up to whatever bit we come up with. And I think this time is the first time we really fucked ourselves with an ambitious idea that we didn't realize how much work would go into it.
Yes, when we talked about it, we talked about doing one of our movie retellings of the movie Halloween.
The one we were talking about, where Brad draws every scene and we just write a narration.
And
that's a certain amount of work.
Right. We're like, let's triple that at least.
More than that,
and
in terms of time.
Yeah, add in prop expenses and all these things.
Yeah. But also, not only that, but we did 3 segments last night. The first one didn't take a lot of resources, but the second one did and the third one did. And we'll get into each of them. But man, we really overexerted ourselves in terms of how much work was going to go into this Halloween comedy show. But yeah, it was great. So Ray came out. Ray often at our shows is someone who comes on stage, has to deal with whatever we throw in front of him, and his job is to kind of have fun with it.
I've been unintentionally, I guess on my end, been turned into as like a recurring curmudgeon.
Yeah, I don't think,
which is weird because it's like
I don't think of you as
that's not who I am.
Aren't you like? Don't you think of yourself as more of a straight man? Because if someone's an idiot and someone else is like, come on, stop being an idiot, they're the straight man. But if someone is like normal, and then someone else is like, stop doing that, then they're the curmudgeon. You know what I mean?
I mean,
it's a thin line, I guess.
We're getting into like it depends on what kind of thing is happening, right? There's a lot of different versions of that thing. But yeah, I know.
I think generally speaking, the audience is on your side. They realize, So they realize that what we're doing crosses the line into stupidity, and so you're a voice of reason,
an anchor,
and they appreciate it.
To peek behind the curtain, right?
Yeah, sure,
to open the kimono a little bit, right?
To peep some leaves.
Yeah. In those situations, right? Yeah. Like when I go up on stage and I don't know what's happening, which is now just the thing you guys have me do, which is you guys have a plan and then you say, just go, just go with it, it'll be fine. And I'm like, okay. When that happens, like as a comedian and a performer, I'm not dumb, and I understand the situation that's in front of me, and I understand right away the position that I need to take right in this game, and so I just do that, and it's fine.
Yes.
But I do look forward to at one point, at someday in the future, being able to not be the guy going, oh boy, you know what I mean? Oh boy.
I'll say
I'm in.
I have a couple ideas for future shows.
See, I'm in.
Here's my theory. I think, Brad, you like me coming in being the oh boy guy
because
that gives you a break from being the oh boy guy.
I do have to be the oh boy guy a lot.
I'll say this. I thought about the relationship between the three of us on stage as performers, and I have a theory about it, and I'll get into that in 1 second. I just want to make sure any listeners are kind of in the know. What we do is we go to a comedy club, and we take a night. It's usually used for stand-up 99% of the time. The clubs we perform in, specifically our home club, the Comedy Connection, and we go there, and Brad and I come out on stage. We call out Ray. We kind of do like a little 3-man live thing. Then other stand-up comics go on throughout the night that we've booked, and we'll come out and Brad and I will do another segment. It might have a film element to it. We might, like I said, retell a movie. We might do another sketch live on stage, but it all has to do with us like putting on a show, in the world of comedy. But my thing about the relationship between the three of us is I kind of think like there's me, my character on stage is 100% in on nonsense. And Brad is almost like usually not exactly in, but he's basically like, okay, I guess we'll do this because this is what we're doing. Right. It's almost like it doesn't even make any sense that you've agreed to it.
Right.
Because your character is still not really on board.
Yeah, I don't know how many times we've said that I don't know the script, or Chuck wrote the script, or Chuck changed the script.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, and I just
yeah, and you hate it.
Right. Yes.
And then Ray is like almost the actual straight man.
Right.
Like it's almost
Ray
like
legitimately hasn't seen the script.
Well, it's more like I'm nonsensical. You've agreed to it and you're along for the ride, and Ray hasn't agreed to it, but like he's on stage with us and has to. You know what I mean?
I think this sounds weird, and I don't mean this in the ego version of this metaphor or analogy.
Yes,
it's an analogy. You ever see in a in a like a nature documentary. The lion is just sleeping out on the savannah.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
The alpha fucking lion. And that's why I don't mean this as an ego thing. That's not the analogy I'm making.
Timon and Pumbaa. I know where this is going.
No. But the cubs are like jumping on the lion.
Yes, exactly.
And goofing around and playing. And that lion is just sort of like, oh, I'm just trying to rest.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while we'll like bat at them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Clearly, that lion could destroy the cubs, but understands that they're just playing, right? And I didn't mean this as an ego thing.
Yeah.
But I do think there is credence to what I'm saying, because I think that is the position that I'm in that setting.
You mean like you would beat us up if it was real life?
No.
I know.
I'm a comedian and a performer, so like if I were the bit that you guys did last night, the closing, doing Halloween, reenacting
the entire
original
movie of Halloween,
basically doing a stage play of it, and me being Michael Myers.
Yeah, you played Michael Myers.
Yeah,
you didn't know it before we pulled you on stage.
Exactly.
Right.
There's two ways that goes. There's the way I played it
perfectly,
which is, oh God,
reluctant,
and like just dead eyes, and like I don't want to be doing this, and like shoulders drooped, and like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Stranglings and stabbings.
Yeah, all that stuff.
You know what? Like an eighth of a heart, not even half heart.
Yeah, I just put my hands on your shoulder.
Yeah, I was like, this is the perfect way to strangle me.
Yeah. There's that way to play it, and then the other way to play it is like to get into it and be like 100% about it.
Yeah.
And that's not funny.
Yeah, it's not as funny.
If anything, it's sad.
It ruins the bit.
You know what I mean? Because let me put it this way. If that audience thought any one of the three of us were earnestly doing this, it would go from, this is really funny, to, oh no.
These poor boys.
Yeah.
So let me explain, first bit last night, we do this thing called...
Sorry, we really opened the kimono on this one.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
No. I like talking about this stuff. So the first thing we did was a thing called Rejected Halloween Costumes, where essentially Brad and I come up with these terrible Halloween costumes that we've done on the podcast for years that are a lot of puns of mixing people together. One example, only one. Like if you wanted to play Tim Allen in Home Improvement, as well as a blonde pop star, you could dress up as Tim the Toolman Taylor Swift.
Right. And again, I will say,
not a pun.
Those are not puns. Those are like mashup of like, it's like I said, like it's a game where the last word of this thing has to be the first word of this thing.
Yes.
And so even as somebody who doesn't like puns, that's me. I don't like puns.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not even a pun. That's those, what did I say? Oh, they're like bowling league names.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And we did this 2 years ago at the Halloween show. And what happened was we did it for the first time on stage with Ray. We pulled him up, and Ray hated the costume suggestions, and it was a really funny bit. But we didn't expect him to hate them. We just kind of thought we'd talk about them on stage, and it was really, really funny. But the problem was we wrote way too many for that show.
Yes,
and we didn't communicate enough with you, because I remember Ray. Yeah, sorry, I'm pointing to Ray. We didn't communicate enough with you.
Right.
And it was really it was very, very funny, but the laughs kind of... This is two years ago. 2 years ago. But the laughs slowly faded because we had too much stuff written.
Yeah.
Then we did it again for our Christmas show with Christmas projects like movies and songs, and it was like perfect length. Laughs grew, got to a crescendo. Yeah. That's when we ended the segment, right? Last night we did it again. We're like, oh, this will be a home run. This is the only segment that we really didn't plan or practice at all. We're like, we'll be fine. We have a couple names, whatever. We went up. A couple things happened last night. One, way too many names we did.
Yep.
Again, so that the laughs just petered out. Two, I think we got a pretty good turnout last night.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of brand new people at our comedy show.
Very true.
And we have got, we've done 9 of these. And so we kind of didn't write in any sort of intro to who Brad and I are at all. We're just like, hey, we're talking Brad. Here's Ray, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things that hurt it too, is that no one had any idea about like who we are, what are we doing here, what is our goal for the evening, because we thought it was going to be people who, have typically seen our shows, I guess. And it was just a brand new audience.
Is this what you guys do on the podcast after every live show?
No,
like you do the debrief, then like you run the triage.
It's more because this is the Halloween episode.
Oh, okay.
And we've kind of replaced the Halloween podcast with the Halloween comedy show. So we still like the listeners of the podcast who are not local.
Okay.
To be able to kind of know.
Got it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it a little bit.
Here's a great idea.
Yes.
Oh my God. All right. So DVD commentary tracks being released as podcasts are a thing.
I love
People
that.
People do that now.
I love
right?
that. Yeah.
You're going through bit by bit with this show right now, right?
Yes.
For this show that was live and already happened. Do it again another time, and then have people play this.
Yeah,
let them like just throw headphones in,
Yes.
put one headphone in,
One
and
headphone.
listen.
Yes.
While the live show is going on,
Here's
and
what was
do
happening.
a live audio commentary.
I love to do that. I like
Never
that.
been done.
Never been done, but I'll do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think there was a lot of people. We didn't write enough of an intro for ourselves, and there was too many names. And so that bit to me, it got laughs throughout it, and it was fine, but it was sloppy. And I was bummed because I think the rest of the show was really, really good.
Yeah.
It really
And
went well.
I will say to the listener,
Yeah.
in defense of Chuck and Brad, when Chuck's like, "Oh, it was sloppy. It got some laughs." Blah blah blah. Like that's for you, the performer,
Right.
grading your own material and all that
Sure.
stuff. I think it went fine.
Yes.
But as performers, you want it to be better than that.
Exactly.
And I wanted it to be better than that. So
yeah,
it's fine.
exactly,
you know?
exactly. Yeah. And so Ray was on stage, and yeah. But anyway, so
That's the review.
Yeah.
Ray was on stage, and yeah.
and no, it was good. I just feel bad that it was sloppy. Second bit, we did 3 bits. Second bit was this Ouija board sketch. I think that went over great. Mm-hmm. I'd like to do it again in the future.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Brad, we got to talk about this. I think we shouldn't return the Ouija board so that we have the exact same ones for doing this in the future.
Perfect.
I know, great, right?
So you, Brad, you bought.
I
the
bought
Ouija-
them.
Oh, Chuck,
I bought
you
them.
bought it.
But the thing is, we have a prop budget for the show, and so I'll be like, oh, I bought this.
Do you have like a patron or something like that?
We had a sponsor for the show.
That's right.
Like we always do. By the way, people think that the sponsor thing is like fake. Do you know that?
I can
noticed-
understand that though, given what
the way we
show
treat
is.
it.
Yeah. Yes, that too. Yeah.
Yeah, we opened the show. So our sponsor, which was very real, is Miller's Roast Beef, which is a roast beef chain. I think maybe just in Massachusetts and Rhode Island.
I think that's why people didn't think it was real when you just said, which is very real.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Also, Miller's roast beef sounds made up as shit. It absolutely
it
sounds
does
made
sound
up.
fake.
It is legitimate and delicious.
I do love Miller's Roast
That's
Beef.
what it
Go there
says
for
on
your-
the side.
We are a real business.
Our roast beef is legitimate and delicious. It's been tested. It's roast beef. It's roast
You
beef.
can take my word for it. I'm Miller.
I love.
Hi, I'm Stephen Miller. Not that one. I'm a different Stephen Miller, and I know it's not as good, delicious sounding.
I'm
name.
Stephen Brother Dennis. Not that one. They keep doing. I'm Phyllis.
No, that's Phyllis Diller. I'm George Miller.
No, that's Bruce Diller.
No. I'm Gil Miller, and
I'm Arthur Miller. Yes.
oh
Not
no,
Arthur Miller. I wrote plays.
I'm Norman Mailer.
I'm not related to these people. I just believe in this franchise.
There's so many famous people at this fucking knockoff Arby's.
I love that I went with Phyllis Miller. Not that one. And someone's like, it's Phyllis Diller.
That's what it is. It is Phyllis
I know,
Diller. Oh, okay.
but that's funny.
Yeah.
the fake character of Phyllis Miller. No, not that. It's like, there's no Phyllis Miller. All right,
Gone off the rails.
So we had a real sponsor, and but you know, I think if we're doing anything like a comedy show, podcast, whatever, and someone's like, "Here's your sponsor," I'm like, "I have a bit." No matter what it is, we combine those things and they don't fit together, and that's a bit.
Sure, yeah.
So last night, you know, it opened and we're like, oh, you know, Miller's Roast Beef is our sponsor. So I created this brand new thing. And for Brad, it's a surprise. It's a beefo lantern. And I nailed a bunch of roast beef.
Which truly smelled. There was a smell to it that was unpleasant. And it was shocking how, like, it was like somebody was holding a roast beef, like a slice of roast beef right under my nose. Like they put a roast beef mustache on me.
Yeah.
And that's what I could smell. So it was, I had to mention it because it was surprising
Palpable.
how much I could smell it.
Pungent.
Oh.
But yeah, so the idea is like, you know, the character of Chuck would say, oh, Halloween show, roast beef. I'm gonna make a beef-o-lantern, and I nailed roast beef to a pumpkin and kind of turned it into a jack-o'-lantern with the beef. And I thought it came out great. I thought that was very fun. And so I see how someone could see me do that and be like, well, why would someone sponsor you and then you do that? And the answer is because it's a comedy show.
Right.
So, you gotta do something funny with it. But I love the beef-o-lantern. I think it came out really good.
It was funny.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find this.
What are you looking at?
Other famous Millers?
No, so when you told me that Miller's Roast Beef was the sponsor,
Yes, of the comedy show.
yeah, I recommended for your sponsor
Yeah,
back
read
and
this.
forth.
Yeah.
I don't even know if this is funny. I didn't read it before. I just found it, and I'm like, oh, okay, now we're talking about it.
We were texting about it.
This was the script that I suggested that you guys do.
Unprompted, by the way.
Okay.
Of course.
So Chuck, we're sponsored by Miller's Roast Beef, which is really great. Brad, I wanted to get a sponsor a little classier. Chuck, what? Miller's Roast Beef is classy as fucking shit.
This is, by the way, so far it's realistic.
Yeah, it's super exclusive. Brad, how is Miller's exclusive? Chuck, it's 2019. You think they're opening any more Miller's Roast Beef? No way. They're definitely going to go the other way. Pretty soon, there won't be a Miller's to sponsor a show. That's exclusive. Brad, wow, great. Chuck, if anything, the fact that there are still a few restaurants even open is a testament to how good the roast beef must be. Brad, is it that good? Chuck, I don't know. I haven't gone. It looks sketchy. That's it.
And that's not how we really feel.
Funny.
I love Miller's Roast Beef.
I don't know. I find it very funny because I'm not from around here.
Sure.
So I didn't grow up seeing weird Miller's Roast Beef in some strip mall, right?
Right.
So that's the
They
only
wouldn't
thing
do that,
I know.
by the way, just so you know. They wouldn't be in a strip mall. They're classier than that.
That's where they are, right?
No, they're Miller's Roast Beef.
That's where the roast beef shops are.
I think you're thinking of a different place.
That's a different roast
Is
beef
it a
place.
different roast beef?
Yeah.
I think you're thinking
There's a third roast beef place?
Well, Miller's Roast Beef is more of like a family-owned place. It's not like like Arby's or like you know what I mean. It's not a chain like that.
What's the third roast beef place?
Waltz
Roast Beef.
Roast Beef.
My God.
Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of.
Is that what you're thinking of the whole time with
the whole time? Because
Oh.
I can't believe
It's a step up from Waltz. Let me tell you that.
I don't
No
know.
offense, Waltz. If you want to, unless Waltz wants to sponsor our Christmas show,
and that's run by Walt Flanagan, right?
right? Yeah, I wish. No, he wouldn't eat roast beef. He really wouldn't.
Not on a
What are you, his
sandwich. at
PA?
least.
Are you his personal assistant? He
He's,
will not eat that. I'm sorry, he will not eat it.
He doesn't eat. He's very specific. He's very specific. Walt.
He's picky.
He's never eaten a sandwich in his life. Do you know that?
What the fuck?
That's true. That's
true.
true. 100% true.
That is like such a weird.
Yeah, Walt has never eaten a sandwich. I'll text him
Thing.
right now.
No, I don't need confirmation. He's never eaten a sandwich. Okay, I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
One, how did this come up?
Is
this something he shook your hand? Nice to meet you. I've never eaten a sandwich in my entire life.
It's kind of a running. Walt is on the podcast. Tell him Steve Dave. I do film work for them, and it's come up a bunch on the podcast how specific he is.
All right.
We had to do a fake trailer for one of his characters versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
And we had all like the Godzilla footage with all people speaking, Korean. And so
God, that pause was dangerous.
and I had to make up my own subtitles. And he's like, "Oh, do whatever you want."
Yeah.
And it was basically supposed to be Walt as a little kid, so I made it all people bullying him into eating a sandwich for the first time. And he said, "I'll never eat a fucking sandwich, never."
Yeah. Okay,
It's
all right,
fun.
sorry. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm still reeling over the fact that there are 3
Yes.
chains based on
Well,
roast
I think
beef.
you're. It's weird because you're comparing McDonald's, which is like Arby's, to like a hamburger place in your town, which is like Miller's. I think Miller's has like 4 or like 3. They're not like a big chain.
All right, but still, like, there's multiple
Yes.
restaurants named blank roast beef. You know
Arby's
what I mean?
roast beef, Miller's roast beef.
Well, Arby's
and
is not
Walt's.
Arby's roast beef, but that's what they
Yeah,
started.
yeah, right.
as,
Yeah, I agree.
I worked there when I was a kid.
Did you?
No, I'm not even kidding.
Really?
Yeah.
I never really. I mean, I ate at Arby's one time in Florida, I think, and that's it.
I have not eaten at Arby's since I
So you don't.
worked there.
So Miller's
If I fly through the Baltimore airport, regardless of time of day, I'm stopping and getting an Arby's
Miller's
sandwich.
roast beef
you
is.
really shouldn't.
Oh, I got you guys something.
It comes in bags.
Oh my god! Well, keep the
Okay,
conversation going about the show because I got to grab something for you guys.
All right.
Uh-oh.
So Chuck has
Oh no,
this
it's gonna be roast
beef-o-lantern.
beef.
I
it's
hope
gonna
so.
be fucking roast beef.
I hope it's roast beef. So the first bit is sort of puns, but sort of combining names. It's weird. Like going into it, I don't know that I was super. I don't know that either Chuck or I were super enthused about it this time.
Well, I'm glad that I could be up there for your ill-prepared bit.
Yeah, it was definitely a situation where we're like, oh yeah, this will be great, and then the day before we're like, hey, did we think up new funny costumes yet? And it's like, no, I didn't.
All right, sorry that took so long.
Oh God,
I'm back.
Oh, I'm so nervous about whatever's happening right now.
I got you guys a couple things. I went to Salem today.
I was going to specifically ask if you got this, but I felt like it would be greedy of me to ask.
That one's for Ray. You can give this to Brad.
Oh, thank God it's not roast beef. I got so worried.
This is from New England Soup Factory, which is like my favorite soup ever.
Oh, what do they do?
They they factor in soup. just a factor. They also have sandwiches.
Gotcha.
But I got you the chicken pot pie soup, Brad.
And when they hand it to you, they say apparently soup was a factor for you.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah. And Bray, I got you their lobster Newburg.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's really, really good. You can take it home and heat it up. And I don't expect you to try to eat it right now.
Now I want it now.
You can try it.
No, I don't know. No, he's not. Is it okay to eat like a room temperature cream based soup?
Well, no, it's not room temperature. It's been out in the car for 2 hours.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
I drove it back from Salem.
Is this safe to eat?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. No, I want to say though, Miller's Roast Beef, I really do like their sandwiches are very high quality. It's a great place. I eat there all the time. I'm not kidding.
Stop winking.
I'm not kidding. I really do. I'm gonna get you.
Why
a sandwich.
are you dragging your finger across your throat? It's so weird.
Anyway, their beef lantern was real fun. Going back to the props. Yeah, so we kind of try to save money on props. Like we don't have like a specific budget, but sometimes we'll say, I bought this. It was $20. We can return it. Great. Mm-hmm. But with the Ouija boards, for the Ouija board bit, segment 2 last night, I want to keep them now because we filmed the bit and we wanted to match the Ouija board and the pointer perfectly. So we kind of have to keep them now. So that takes $40 more into our prop budget.
Right.
That's why I mentioned that. Let's see. Yeah, I don't really want to give away the Ouija board bit on the podcast, but it was one that had a pre-taped element to it, video, and it was really fun. And I was really worried about that one going over and people getting it, but people really got it. I think
that was fun. It was a really fun sketch. I liked it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But the audience, yeah, they got into it and they understood it right away, which I was kind of I was happy with. And then the ending was like, it was funny because it was my original ending that I thought of. And then you mentioned it too as an ending, and I never really. I was like, oh, this ending being funny, but I'll never do that. It's too dirty to do live. You mentioned it too, talked about it to Brad, and
it's
we were
the
like,
elevation. It's the natural elevation.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. So it really worked. Yeah. And then the final thing we did was we wanted to do basically what Ray said, a live stage, like a play version of the original Halloween movie from 1978 with Michael Myers. Didn't tell Ray beforehand. Promoted it online with Ray hidden from the statuses.
Nice.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And we pulled Ray out on stage, told him our plan, and that's what we did. It was about 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
But it was the entire movie with Ray playing Michael Myers. And that took a lot more planning than you'd think.
It wiped me out. Like we didn't get to rehearse as much as I would have liked. I had so much trouble with the wigs, switching between the 3 main female characters.
Yes, Brad. Basically, I played Loomis, the psychiatrist, as well as the narrator. Ray played Michael Myers, and Brad played Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, but everyone else in the movie as well. And that was kind of we built that in as the comedy of it. Is like, oh yeah, it'd be funny to see you trying to struggle to do all these characters.
Yeah.
But it was actually difficult.
Yes.
And there was a lot of obstacles, we
handled
watched,
well.
Thank you.
I think so. And then I think it was good. And then we watched the movie, we broke it down, and we're like, what can we cut? What can we cut? What can we cut? And we cut it down as much as possible. We were like, how is Ray going to wear a mask and still be the character who doesn't want to do this because he's pulled up as a someone who's reluctantly agreeing to it. And so we came up with the idea of cutting the face out of the mask. So it is the mask, but we can see your face.
Great choice.
Then it was like, well, he has to be on stage, but Michael Myers is kind of like not in it the whole time. So we came up with the shadows and the divider. Mm-hmm. He stood behind this kind of shadowed divider, and we knew that you were taller than the thing.
Yeah.
And the bit that came out of that live on stage that we came up with was great. So I was really happy with that. And it's funny because I think that what could have improved with that is if we did rehearse it more with a stand-in third person, and you got more used to the costume changes, so it was faster.
Yeah.
But I think with how much rehearsal time we got, and with how much the crowd was like down with being like, yes, we're along for this, we're along for the ride, I think it came out really, really funny. You know?
Yeah, I do too. I wish, instead of wigs, if I had used hats or hats with wigs sewn in them or attached somehow, an easier way to get the hair off and on my head, especially when it has to be on for an entire scene and I really want the wig to sit on my head.
Yeah.
At one point I had all 3 girls' wigs on, and then I was like, oh boy, which one's on top? Which one can I take off?
Yeah.
I realize that's part of the comedy. It just, I was flop sweating my way through that.
Oh, yeah.
And then I will say, I almost I did trip but didn't fall on my face remounting the stage as I was being chased by Michael Myers. And since my first show at the Comedy Connection, I'm like, all right, get on stage, get the microphone out of the microphone stand, and then start doing your stand-up. And that's always been my concern. And I wasn't thinking that as I was running away from Michael Myers.
And you tripped.
Yeah, I tripped, and I'm like,
a lot of people have tripped on getting on that stage.
It's kind of high. It's a little bit high. It's like an extra couple inches.
There expect. Should be a step.
Yeah,
it's high enough where there should be a step. I'm not even kidding.
I agree.
So yeah, but I didn't fall. It was and if I fell, so what? Adds to the realism.
Yeah, and honestly, if you were coming towards me, and I got my hand under you. And so even if you had kind of lost it, I think I would have caught you.
Yeah, I was like, oh man.
I had my hand right at his chest.
I love that Chuck just
with one hand
in a situation that didn't happen is like, well, I would have been the hero. It's very easy to tell. Hero. I would have been the hero.
Yeah.
I would have saved your life.
Everyone would have chanted his name.
But I do think that was it was a risky idea to close the show with that, and it really depended on whether or not the crowd would go along with us, and they did, which was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was a fun show.
I think that ending was good. We had a few through lines. There was the idea of you having to be everybody.
Right.
Me thinking that Loomis was a cool character, and that, you know why that worked really well. There was literally, like, you think of it as like, oh yeah, that was one of the running jokes in it. Literally 3 sentences, but that's exactly how much we needed. We didn't need any more than that. That's all it had to be. And then obviously Ray's reluctance was a big part of the show. But
it's weird again. Ray hadn't seen the script, but it was stuff like Ray sheepishly takes the car from Brad, or Ray sheepishly paws at the Venetian blinds that we have doubling.
Yeah, it says stuff that we expected you to do because obviously Ray didn't know about it, and it went perfectly. Yeah. You did exactly everything we hoped.
Well, excellent.
It was great. Excellent. It was great. Yeah. It was great. It was a good time. But that was a lot of fun. So I'm glad that we got that done because it was a big challenge. And honestly, the second segment with the Ouija board, that just took a lot of rehearsal and memorization in terms of like timing. And that was good. It went well. So I'm happy with the show. And I hope we get to do a Christmas show.
Yeah, me too.
And it's funny because I want to give a big shout out to Tommy Lincoln at Stage Fresh Designs, who does all the Tell 'em Steve Dave artwork and stuff like that. He did the flyer for us. I love the Halloween show flyer.
It's a great flyer, yeah.
Awesome flyer. I think it'd be awesome if we had a Christmas show and it was basically the same kind of flyer, but instead of the mountain of that, it was snow, and then it was like a gingerbread house, and it was even the same characters but dressed up for Christmas. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, I like that.
I would love that.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about it. But yeah, Ray, thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it. I'm glad you went along with everything. I'm glad you were happy with it.
Awesome, yeah. Wait, so that's the end of the podcast, right?
No. Now we're starting the podcast.
Yes. That was all preamble.
Oh, man.
Well, I just wanted people to be filled in about the Halloween show.
I think I figured out why you guys are so, like, worked right now, right?
What?
Maybe overworked, right?
Yeah.
It's because you prepare for a thing, you do the thing, and then you make another thing about talking about the thing.
Well, that's what podcasting is. It's talking about the thing. Yeah, it is.
It's not what it is.
Podcasting is often talking about the thing. I think this is the best podcast and the most successful, to be honest. Side things, right?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't listen to side things.
What do you think?
Who's with that?
What do you listen to?
Who does that?
What do you mean?
Who does side things?
Side things with Barack Obama and Barney Miller.
Yikes. You had Barney Miller in your head from earlier with the
definitely.
Millers.
Yeah,
definitely.
And then you pulled Barack Obama?
Yep.
Oh, that's funny.
Yep.
Oh,
I was like, well, it's but wouldn't be a side thing anymore. When he started it, it was a side thing. Now it's his main thing.
Yeah.
Really a misnamed podcast.
So you want to hear a funny thing? So this literally happened.
Did it literally happen?
On Sunday or maybe Saturday before the show, I was like, man, it'd be so funny if one of the...
I peed my pants right now.
And you know what?
Did.
It was.
Yeah,
hilarious.
it was hysterical. He laughed and laughed. He looked around. No one was around. Couldn't find anybody. And then he was like, oh, all right.
I said to Brad, I'm like, it'd be funny if we did a segment at the Christmas show where I said, you know what, Brad? I've realized there's just not that many Christmas songs. And he'd be like, what? And I'd be like, so I took, Halloween has so many songs. And he'd be like, what? And I'd be like, I took the Monster Mash and I turned it into a Christmas song.
Oh, that's funny.
Isn't that a funny idea?
Yeah.
I'm not kidding when I say this. Lou, my buddy Lou, that day out of nowhere, didn't explain to him this idea, texted me. Ready for this? Let's see what he says. Where's my buddy Lou? By the way, we do a side podcast called Scrolling Through Text Messages, and it's just these parts of the... He goes like this. He goes, not kidding, 6:01 p.m. that day. Hey, have you ever heard Monsters Holiday? It's the Monster Mash, but it's about Christmas.
Oh, man.
I didn't say this to him at all. And I said, what? And he said, it's by the same artist. Same tune, same everything, but it's about the monsters on Christmas.
Yeah.
And it's the same it's exactly my idea. Isn't that bizarre?
They hung a star. They hung a Christmas star.
It's
right? Like that kind of thing?
It's pretty much.
Oh, no.
Ready? Is this at the top?
Was the night before Christmas when all through the castle my monsters were having a Yuletide hassle. The tree was all trimmed in ghoulish things like werewolf fangs and vampire wings. But they were up to no good.
Isn't this weird?
That's terrible.
I know, at least mine would be like a parody, kind of. Isn't that strange?
That is so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
It's weird that it exists, and it's weird that Lou said that to me on the same day that I said that to Brad. Come on.
I
that
didn't
seems
like
like
that
a
at all.
was there cosmic interference here? That's what I'm asking.
No.
Yes. Yeah, it was
Silver
cosmic
Surfer,
interference
Galactus.
preventing you from doing that at the Christmas show, which...
I don't like that.
Or did you perhaps take in the reveal of that song somewhere else in social media land, and
I don't think
then
I did.
Popped it back into your head?
No, you know why? Because I love I think the Monster
MASH is the greatest song ever. Yes.
I think
we've all read your thesis.
Yeah.
I think that
Chuck has long said if he ever becomes president, he wants to, at his inauguration, he wants to come out to the Monster Mash.
But sir, hail to the chief is customary.
No, Monster Mash.
I think that the Monster...
You know I keep saying it. Mash me.
The Monster
Mash
Mash
me, baby.
is... I think it's like the funniest song in the world in terms of what it is.
What the fuck are you talking
I don't
about?
get it. It's the idea...
You just said it's the funniest song in the world, and then you said I don't get it.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, the idea that it exists is bizarre. The idea of writing a song about Halloween, about the monsters having a party, and the fact that it's like the Halloween song that everyone knows.
That's because nobody does Halloween songs.
Exactly, but it's weird. It's an odd song. So anyway, for years,
sorry.
I've been wanting to work with the Monster Mash and turn it into a segment. So it's not, this was my newest idea with it.
Yes.
One of them was a slow piano version of the Monster Mash. I've had other ideas.
Yeah.
But so I think that it's just, I didn't know about it, but it was sad that my dreams were dashed.
I would like a.
They were monster dashed.
I like a. You said like a slowed down piano version. I like the idea of like a new like electronic indie kind of slow version.
Yes.
Like you know how they like a lot of movie trailers will use known songs but then slow them down for
Florence
that
and the Machine
and
does,
have like a
Addicted to Love.
Yeah, like have a whispery version of it. I could totally see the Monster Mash. That would be an SNL sketch.
That would be great.
There would be a trailer for this movie.
Yeah.
And it's like a horror movie.
Yes.
Similar.
Yes, exactly. I think that's great. And the Monster Mash is the perfect song for something like that.
Yes.
Because it's so frivolous.
Stupid, yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was funny. Here's a discussion that Ray is going to think is beneath him. You guys ready for this?
So glad I left my sleeping child and my lovely wife at home.
I do think...
drive...
I think
25 minutes.
I think you're gonna say
to come here and do this.
You don't want to talk about this, but then I think you're gonna be driving home and you're gonna be like, "That is interesting." Ready for this?
There are a lot of interesting things. I don't know if I want to,
All right, ready?
Or if the listener even wants to hear that.
Well, Halloween. It's Halloween, so we got to talk about this. All right. You've had a Three Musketeers bar?
Uh-huh.
What's in it?
It's the chocolate on the outside, and then
just nougat.
It's just, and it's not even nougat. It's like air nougat. It's whipped nougat.
Right, whipped nougat. Yeah. Okay. You've had a Milky Way. What's that?
Roughly the same whipped nougat, not chocolatized, but then it's got some caramel, a strip of caramel on it.
Then a Snickers. Same thing as the Milky Way, but with peanuts, right?
Yeah, but a different nougat base again.
Is that true? What do you mean a different nougat base?
It's a little thicker nougat.
Yeah.
Nougat's thicker.
Yeah.
See, to me, I think it's weird that, because Mars makes all those candies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's weird that they're just like kind of builds on each other, but they just have completely different names that are...
Well, all the nougats are different. They're all different flavors.
Are they all different?
Yeah, they have different flavors.
What's the Milky Way flavor?
The Milky Way one is more of like a chocolate whipped nougat.
Is that true?
It's like light, yeah.
I thought the Three Musketeers and the Milky Way
the Three
are similar.
Musketeers is that one, and then the Milky Way has a more
vanilla.
I don't think it's vanilla, but it's something.
It's a different consistency, and it's supposed to be chocolate. And then the Snickers one is nougat flavored nougat, vanilla or whatever.
I just thought they were all kind of like, it's almost
when
like
you put a nougat in.
It's almost like if you had a cheeseburger, and then you added a tomato, and you added a bacon, and you just were like, this is called an airplane. This one's called, a golf club. And then this one, I just think it's weird.
A folded over pizza is called a calzone. What do you want? You know
what I mean? All right. Well, okay. Here, now we're talking.
All right. Listen, if you take a hot dog and throw the actual hot dog out and put some fucking Miller's roast beef in it, it's now a fucking sub. Okay.
Well, I mean that was not a good example, but I understand.
It is as accurate as your nougat-based analogy.
I'm going to
throw this fucking microphone through the window.
All they're doing is adding, though. It's like, did you get the Three Musketeers? You add caramel. It's a Milky Way. You add peanuts. It's a Snickers. I think that's strange.
But they're different fucking nougats.
I guess they are. I guess they're different nougats. I never thought of it like that.
All right. So Chuck and I started to talk about this, and Chuck said, "No, we have to save this for the podcast." That's absolutely true. So I looked up the history of these candy bars.
Oh, yeah, please tell us. I want to know.
And I learned that the Milky Way came first in 1923.
Previous to the Three Musk?
And they said, all right, they wanted
Cheers?
They wanted it to taste like a malted milkshake, so they called it the Milky Way.
It's malt flavored.
Yeah.
Hey.
And there were two flavors. There was the chocolate one and the vanilla one, and the vanilla one had dark chocolate on the outside instead of milk chocolate. They renamed that for some reason to the Forever Yours bar until late 1970s, then brought it back as Milky Way Dark, then rebranded it as Milky Way Midnight. So that would have been
they made it cool.
Yeah.
Milky Way Midnight. Look out, he's got a gun.
My wife is tied up.
He fights crime and fucks. Milky Way Midnight. It's like Shaft, but a candy bar. Milky Way Midnight.
Wow, Milky Way first.
Yeah.
Then they said, let's strip the caramel.
They said, let's add peanuts, and the Snickers came next.
Yeah.
What?
Here's my theory before you say it.
This is
I almost knocked over this bisque.
Oh,
I made this soup my bisque.
Yep.
It's so... You have a basket of fucking Reese's peanut butter cups in front of me.
That's this, and I will talk about that. Go ahead, keep going.
All right, and you handed me bisque and an exposed open air fucking roll with a spoon ready to go.
Yep.
I came here hungry, and this sucks. This sucks.
Eat the
but
Reese's.
Anyway, no, I don't. We're talking.
We can have it.
All right. No. Anyway. All right. So
they're very small. Just swallow them.
Ew. I don't like anything you just said.
Okay.
So my theory, before you say about the Three Musketeers.
Yes.
My theory is the Three Musketeers. Okay, geez.
Yeah.
You're saying that like
I'm into this.
Goofing off right now, like you're in the Barnes and Noble. You're really reading that book.
Yeah.
He hates that book. He keeps slamming it. I think the Three Musketeers, to me, it smacks of a before healthy eating was really understood, it was, this one's for the ladies on their diets. That's what it strikes me as.
Okay,
A very like 1950s.
Wow.
And they're like, this is for the broads on diet. It's diet. It's healthy for you. Look, it's light and fluffy. You know what I mean? That's what it. That's what it says to me.
Right.
That, like a 50s version of a diet for one of those women. You know what I mean?
Right.
So far we got in the actual history, Milky Way had 2 variations.
Yep.
Then they made the Snickers.
Yep.
How much later?
7 years later.
7 years later, added peanuts. They didn't say anything about the Milky Way. They weren't like, this is the Milky Way with peanuts.
No.
Okay.
No. Again, I'm going to say it's a different flavor of
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Nougat.
I got it. Consistency. You said
Nougat
too.
City.
Well, then they're like, hey, we've got these different flavors of nougat. Let's do 3 different flavors and sell them in the same package as one bar. So like Neapolitan ice cream, a Three Musketeers bar had a chocolate section, a vanilla section,
And that's why it was
strawberry
called
section.
Three Musketeers.
See, this is what I wanted to find out.
Holy shit!
Oh, see, because you kind of said that for a second the other day,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize it was all in the same thing.
Yeah.
Three Musketeers. Now
Wow.
I get it. I thought there was just 3 choices.
Yeah.
Now at least now the name makes sense.
Yes, see,
Right.
this is what I'm talking about. Now
You know?
all the names make sense. Now Milky Way makes sense because it's supposed to be a malted milk ball thing.
Right.
And then the other one makes sense. Why Snickers?
It was named after Forrest Mars's favorite horse.
Ugh.
Yep.
I fucking hate these people.
Yep.
Oh wow, it's interesting that someone named an animal Snickers.
I built an empire, given a whole society diabetes. I buy horses. This is my favorite one. You're a candy bar now.
Well, I would think if I heard of a pet named Snickers,
Yeah.
it's after the bar. So it's weird that he named the horse Snickers and no bar existed beforehand.
You got to think though.
That'd be like Giggles, I guess.
Yeah, but you also have to think like this is a period of time where this was before all of the sort of mass production stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
This is the time where shit was getting invented, right?
Yeah.
So you would just be like, oh, what's that? It's a fucking.
Yeah, I know.
It's a horse bar. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like that's now like they didn't have marketing. They didn't have.
I know.
They didn't test the names and
Well,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
It's really
in,
funny.
In the UK, it was a marathon bar.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah.
Why?
Because the other guy had a horse that died, and he's like, "Well, I guess I'll start running marathons then."
No, I don't know. I did not see why the name was different. And then, like, the article was like, the Milky Way, what we call the Milky Way is sold as the Mars bar in other parts of the world.
Is there a Mars
Which
bar
makes
here?
sense because, of course, Mars would call the first
Yeah,
candy bar
that
they
would
made
make
the
sense.
Mars
too.
bar.
Yeah. And you know what else? Mars, Milky Way,
Nope.
Mars.
You're out.
Okay.
Um,
The red planet.
well, like
The red planet. Yeah, let me get a Charleston chew. Let me get a Mallow cup. And give me a red planet.
I would get a red planet.
No. No, that sounds like a euphemism for like period sex, and I don't like it.
I was going to take it to the fact that Milton Hershey, like, originally he
Milton Hershey.
I don't know if it's Milton. I'm 99.
Milton Hershey.
I'm 99% sure it was Milton Hershey. That's what I said. I'm gonna stick with
Milton
it.
Hershey.
He was big.
Capitalism is sometimes hilarious.
He was big into beats. He like chocolate
Like
was
the
not,
headphones?
chocolate was not. Chocolate was not his first love. He was like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
beats.
make and sell beats.
And then he was
people
doing
are
that.
gonna
And he was
love
like,
beats.
"Oh shit, this was a bad idea."
I should go back to that chocolate. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's.
And he never got to make his beat bar.
I think the American Mars bar was just a Snickers but with almonds instead of peanuts, and then they rebranded and made it Snickers with almonds. And now I think if they were like, hey, we've got an idea for a new candy bar, it's nougat and caramel and cashews. Like, should we call it the Red Planet? And they're like, no, let's call it Snickers with cashew because Snickers has so much
name
recognition
Yeah.
that it
Yeah,
doesn't
right.
make sense
Right.
to invent a new candy bar if it's so close to what we already have.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that's interesting. I always like to think back to the idea of like what you just said about how there was a time when people just like, what about this? And they just call it whatever.
Yeah.
And now there's like marketing research and stuff like that. And I think about the fact that like,
But also because entire industries, lines of like a food product never existed at this time too.
Oh, maybe that's
people
true.
are like, hey, maybe we should take the cocaine out of this sody pop.
Yeah.
And then Coca-Cola, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was one soda.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
And then it branches out into 50 million different things.
Is that how it worked? Is that how it worked? Like, are we still, kind of at the end of the edge of like where industry began? I guess so.
Yes.
When was the Industrial Revolution?
The Industrial Revolution?
Well, didn't that start making machines that could mass produce things like stuff like that?
So that would have been what, the 19. God.
The early 20th century.
Yeah.
Late 19th, early 20th.
Is that when they could start making glass bottles and different things like that, or am I wrong about that?
I mean,
there's a difference between like mass production that we know and the mass production that was happening at that time.
Of course, it's different. It's not computerized.
It wasn't.
Jesus Christ. Are you on cocaine right now? But no, that was a period of time. I will say that we are on the tail end because now we're not. We've kind of figured out all the
kinks,
the initial thing that then balloons out into all these other things,
right?
And so now we're just folding in on ourselves, and then we're like, yeah, well, here's the 400th Mountain Dew flavor, you fuckers, right? Like, and they just start doing that.
Exactly.
It's the same thing as the film industry. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it.
That's what I was gonna. This is what I was
late
talking
stage
about.
capitalism is destroying creativity.
Well, this is what I was gonna say.
I'm gonna sound like a fucking Marxist.
Like, we're kind of in the age. Like, I'll put it this way: like 200 years from now, will a lot of the same huge industries be the same? Will it be Coca-Cola?
No.
Nintendo, McDonald's?
No.
You don't think so?
No. 200 years from now? 200 years from now, McDonald's will have to have some sort of other version of meat because they can't have cows anymore. It's 200 years from now. There's not going to be enough land.
It'll be vat grown.
Yeah.
200.
Well,
hey,
that's my question.
You know what? You're optimistic in thinking that all of those like brands will still be around
That's
and
my
not
question.
hunting people for sport.
I would say
This is like a Halloween episode.
of the three, I think Coca-Cola is most likely to survive.
Oh, absolutely. Coca-Cola will
Of the
have
three.
some sort of. They'll have their portion of the galaxy, and you can go and live there, but you have to live under.
Did you start playing The Outer Worlds?
Yes.
As did I.
Yeah,
I started playing it today.
It's wonderful. But no, it is. We are kind of returning back to.
This is what I'm wondering.
The period of time where we would work for the company store, and we're just owned. We're just owned because we work for the same company where we buy our products and our goods.
Right.
And so we are tied to, our debt is tied to the company we work for.
Right.
And then we're just doing it, you know?
See, this is what's interesting to me.
This is turning dark. Let's go back to the candy, though.
It's not. Well, I was just going to say the idea of this being, the end of the first chapter of, real huge capitalism.
But this is not the first chapter.
Well, what I mean, I guess
huge, like the first chapter of huge capitalism. That's when you get into like Andrew Carnegie and stuff like that. That's when the Industrial Revolution era. That's the big capitalism push.
Interesting, because
although you could argue that the real first American capitalism push was slavery. I'm not saying that tongue in cheek. I'm saying that very genuinely. Is this weird? Am I getting weird now?
What I mean is like the idea of businesses that take over the nation and that everyone has a relationship.
Right. Well, there's supposed to be antitrust legislation that blocks that stuff.
Well,
and
it's failing.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is what I'm talking about.
As I was researching this candy, and they're like, M&M Mars bought Wrigley for $21 billion or whatever, and I'm like, I didn't know that. And so like, all your candy is coming from two sources, and to go with Ray's point, all your entertainment is coming from two sources.
This is what I'm trying to say though. Like if right now we do have McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Mars, let's say, whatever, all these huge companies, Nintendo. Is this the first? I
love that you think Nintendo is like one of the behemoths.
It is in terms of like. I guess when I think,
it is if you want to switch.
No, like what's it called? Like cultural touchstones for this industry. You know what I mean? I think Mario is probably the most well-known like video game character.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then, Coca-Cola in terms of drinks or whatever, McDonald's in terms of fast food. That's what I'm talking about. But we are in that first time that something is widespread, national, everyone knows about it and has a relationship. And that's my question about, like, will those things just completely go away? It's interesting that we're still in the first time that that's happened, I guess.
Well, those things just are first to market, essentially, over our time.
Sure.
And hopefully more creative things can happen.
Yes.
The problem and the reason why antitrust exists to begin with, and we're supposed to try and break up monopolies,
right,
is when you do have a monopoly, there's no incentive to create anything else. There's no incentive to do a new thing
because you can't compete.
So when a monopoly exists, innovation dies.
Right.
And innovation can mean mechanical innovation, like an invention, but it can also mean a creative innovation, meaning like a TV show or a movie, music, video games, and it can go down the line to, a new soda to rival anybody else. But the problem is anything that pops up that is new and independent, the behemoth can crush and either just wipe it out or simply buy it and
for
go,
what is
now it's
nothing
Dr. Pepper 7. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So what is almost nothing to the behemoth is worth 10 times as much to the company of the small company. So they just buy it and say, fuck this.
Yeah. It happens all the time.
Like Twitter buying Periscope, kind of.
Do you know how many...
Or Facebook buying Instagram.
No, I mean... but forget even the ones you know about, like Instagram being recognizable and big, and that being a big deal.
Yeah.
Facebook has been buying, apps and algorithms and like everything, all these creative elements, these new concepts. They've been buying them out, and these companies, before they can even develop what the thing is yet.
I know, yeah.
They just buy it and go, that now that's our IP, and we can use that if we want to implement it in some way. We'll try it as a test thing, and if people don't like it, we'll get rid of it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So there will never be, unless things get sorted out, there won't be a rival Facebook, because Facebook already bought that. The thing that would grow to be the rival. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's just interesting because
you know what? And I think that's spooky. We can talk about it at Halloween.
Yeah, let's do Halloween. God damn it! This just turned into the McNeil Lehrer News Hour.
Well, it's just interesting that the idea of now being like, the
McNeil Miller's News Hour.
And one of the biggest candy bars in the world was because the guy's owner, he owned a horse with that name.
Right.
It's not going to happen now.
I do like that era. That era of
silliness,
like Wild West industry is fascinating, because you did have these barons that just like a guy with a bowler hat smoking a cigar. And they're just like, what do you want to call it? I just bought the whole thing. We'll call it... And he's just like looking around trying to connect dots. You know what I mean? Snickers. Phew. Right? Like, and a bunch of people are like, all right.
Somebody was like, are you sure that's a great idea? And he fired that person.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course I think it's a great idea. And then he turns around and goes, listen, have that man fired.
It's funny. You know what I think about a lot? And I don't know if this is actually tied to this, but whatever. Film titles, and about how, like, I'd say, like, up to 25 years ago, film titles could kind of be like almost more like novel titles, where they're like a fun thing that's actually creative that has to do with it, like Gone with the Wind. And now they're like,
wait, do you think Gone with the Wind is a fun creative?
Well, it represents a feeling as opposed to The 40-Year-Old Virgin, where it has to be exactly what it's about.
Well, Gone
now.
with the Wind was a movie based on the book Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. That's fine. Perfect. Yeah, you know what? And when they make a movie about the town or something like that, they change the name now to make it completely recognizable in a theater when you see it on a marquee.
Prince of Thieves?
Of Thieves was the original name of the town.
Prince of Thieves was also the name of a movie before the town came out.
Yeah, it was called Robin Hood.
Yes, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
But you know what I mean? Like, there's like...
And then who can forget the amazing film Thief of Princes. Thief of Princes.
But like, if you have a movie, I'm trying to think of a good example of like
an apostrophe in Princes there.
What's a good? I mean, I guess you know what? What's actually a good example of a movie that where the title doesn't tell you what it is exactly?
The Martian.
Superbad.
Oh, okay.
Superbad's a pretty good one where if you see it,
sure.
That's people. You know what? You know the movie The House with Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler. People say that a big reason it failed is because if you look at a marquee and it says The House, you're like, I don't know what the fuck that is. You have no idea. Even if you've seen the trailer, you're not going to remember what it's attached to.
Whereas We Bought a Zoo puts it right on Front Street.
What if
I forgot that's a movie.
The people that said that that's why the house didn't do well was it the people that made the house?
But I do think
because why don't you say that to the maker of Room?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. I do think it's true for studio movies, though. I do think that titles have gotten more like, this is what this
more
is.
direct.
It has to have, you have to be able to look at it and say, I know what that is from the title.
Okay, so in the 80s.
So Friday the 13th.
90s, actually. No, 90s.
Well, Friday the 13th is a really bad example.
Yeah, it is a bad example. How about Home Alone? That's pretty fucking direct.
That's a direct one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So is, is Big.
But that's not now.
Big's not a good one.
Now I don't know what you're arguing.
Do you like Joe versus the Volcano or no?
Is it? Yeah,
that's pretty direct. I'm saying there were very direct
I'm not
film
saying that,
titles before.
I'm saying that basically before it was almost like an option, and you're like Home Alone. That's a good title. It's succinct, has a good amount of syllables. It kind of rolls off the tongue, and it means what the movie is. So that's fine. But like, I guess Back to the Future. What do you think about Back to the Future? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But Big is weird.
No, it's not.
I think Big is weird.
It's a title. It's a titular line in the movie. Like
Sure.
the title is based on the fact that the kid says, "I want to be big."
But someone that doesn't see the movie can't think that. They can't say, "Oh, that must be a titular line."
You know, in the original script, he went up to the machine and he was just like, "I want a huge dick."
I do think.
We should make that movie.
Yeah.
And then, like we put whatever production, but then put more of our money into creating those Zoltar machines and putting them just around the country and just raking the cash from insecure men.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
I think it's
Put
more
them
of
at gun clubs all over. NRA discount.
I think it's more of a percentage thing. I think if you took like let's say 1980 to 1989,
Okay.
or like let's say you took a 10-year period around that time, and you said how many movie titles from mainstream studios are like you can get what the movie is, at least for the most part from the title, versus now. I think now it's like this one's called Anchorman. This one's called Paranormal Activity.
Well, that's tough though because you're pulling examples of simplified titles
Talladega Nights
now, right?
Yeah.
But the whole concept of a movie title is to be simplified for the thing, like a movie title in and of itself. So I think if you did go through the line and go decade by decade, I don't know if you would find it like when we're pulling examples from the past, we're only pulling things we can think of off the top of our head.
Anecdotal.
It's stuff that we remember because they're well known.
Yes.
So if you want to talk about the 80s, great. But 30 years from now, no one is going to go, well, what about that Will Ferrell movie, The House? You know what I mean? No one's going to remember that shit.
Hey. Yeah, right. Swiss. Oh, my God.
I don't like that you snap at her. It's just
sometimes
weird.
she looks at me. I think it's true. I definitely think it's true. I think it's marketing.
I'm just looking up current movies at Showcase Cinemas in Seacon.
That's more anecdotal evidence.
It's current. You would have to know from the past because
then I will also
like
look up Showtimes 20 years ago tonight.
But what I'm saying is the act of a movie title in and of itself is supposed to be
I was just trying to help.
a brief fucking thing that gives you a hint at what the movie may be about, but also cannot be anything close to something else that is coming out at the time.
Okay, well
it can't be anything that's already come out.
So there's
none of those things. So it's tough to talk about movie titles in that way.
Yeah.
It really is because there are so many factors at play in that concept. You would really have to do this statistically and take all of the movie titles and break this down.
Do you think people have done that?
Probably, man.
Oh man,
It's the world, dude.
I looked up our movie titles more straightforward, and I didn't find anything.
Was Jason Mantzoukas in the house? I like him.
Yes, he was.
He's fun.
I like Jason Mantzoukas. Yeah,
Zook. I think that idea was good. I do think that's true though. But anyway, I just kind of thought of it because of Snickers and the idea of the randomness of that kind of stuff.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I think, it's interesting. But yeah, that's honestly, I think that learning about history of candy is funny.
Yes.
But one of the things we want to talk about in this year's...
See, now I can't even do the goddamn podcast because now I'm just trying to think of obscure movie title things. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just going through my head. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. What does that tell you about the movie?
I think that one's pretty obscure.
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't consider that a really super mainstream movie though. I think of that as an indie film. I think it is.
All right. All right.
In other words,
are you saying that in the 80s they were more obscure than now?
I think so.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. What's it about?
That's anecdotal.
Why? What's Uncle Buck about?
I think that you can't. We're talking about thousands and thousands of movies. You can't give me 1% of 1%.
You were doing that though. You were throwing an example. So I'm proving your point with your own fucking mechanics.
I think King Ralph.
I think there's a chance that if the 40-year-old virgin came out.
Don't tell mom the babysitter's dead.
What? Well, hold on. What happens in that movie?
You're not gonna believe this. So there's a dad.
I think. What's the movie with Paul Rudd and
40-year-old virgin?
No. From
of course they're oversimplified now. You think that you're a fucking Marvel guy. You go out, you're like, they're doing the greatest thing in the whole wide world, and all the movie titles are just the name of the person. You know what I mean?
Oh, you know what? Infinity War is pretty good. That's pretty obscure.
Well, it's Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah,
and it's named after the comic series that came out.
That's
you
true.
can't do that.
Yeah. Well, that did come out in the 80s. I think
it's exhausting. It's exhausting.
I think if the
Happy Halloween.
I think if the 40-year-old virgin came out in 1982, it wouldn't be called the 40-year-old virgin. I really think it would have.
There were so many movies that came out in that period of time that were like the most blatantly obvious titles.
Was there a movie about a teenager who became a werewolf?
And that's the 80s. If you want to go way back, oh my god, if you want to go like silver screen era, the titles were just like I would
think of them as being like Death Had
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Like what about like Death Had a Shadow? Is that a movie? Death Had a Shadow or Has a Shadow?
Something like that.
Like to me, that's what I'm talking about. The idea that represents something inside something about the movie that's definitely you don't understand what the movie's about from the title. That's what I'm talking about.
I need you to put a pin in this.
Yeah.
No, don't. Because we're not going to solve this now. Put a pin in it. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Put a pin in it.
Yes.
Do some research.
I will.
And the problem is you are pulling from your own memory. And what you remember is what is around now.
Uh-huh.
The 90s, some of the 80s, and then you're out, man. You're fucking out. The only things you remember beyond that are the big movies that are cultural icons, right? If you go back and look through that stuff, there's going to be a lot of fucking A Fish Called Wanda, you fucking motherfucker. I'm just trying to think of like the most obvious things.
I don't even know what is that about. Is it about a fish called Wanda?
Yes.
All right.
Mermaid.
So Ace Ventura came out, but we don't know
The
his
Little
profession.
Mermaid. Oh, God. Jesus Christ. Listen, Jim Carrey. Also, a lot of comedies have a very straightforward name because they're comedies. And it's like, what's the premise of the comedy, right? Like, that's what you're getting out there.
I'd like to sidebar this.
Jim Carrey has done mostly just direct titles. Other than
you know what's weird?
You remember the movie
Sunshine?
The Dilemma?
Yes.
No.
Isn't that a bizarre name for a film?
This is what I'm talking about.
Because shouldn't every
movie be called The Dilemma? Yeah.
Couldn't every movie be called
yeah.
Yeah. It's Kevin James and Vince Vaughn.
Oh, that's why I don't remember it.
Yes.
You know what we should do? We should
Scream is a weird one, right?
Yes.
I think that one's obscure.
Sure.
Well, it's a well-known
I know what you did last
horror.
summer. Straightforward.
Yes. Jesus Christ, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do all of them.
You're bringing it back to horror movies. Good
We're
job.
gonna do all of it. We're gonna do all of it. Halloween.
That one's obscure.
It's pretty obscure. It happens to take place around Halloween.
We don't know what it's about though.
Ernest Goes to Camp.
Ernest Goes to
What
Camp.
is that? Who's involved? What are they doing?
Ooh.
This is the weirdest podcast in history.
I have
Star Wars.
I have a rule.
What could it be?
Pre-apply rule. We take the Ernest movies out because everyone knows Ernest.
Okay, fine. What's Ben-Hur about?
I don't know about the name ones. I don't know if they count.
Okay, the Ten Commandments.
Like Billy. What about like Billy Madison? I don't know what that's about.
You went from Ben-Hur to Billy Madison?
Well, I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
Do you think there was anyone in the world thinking, like, Billy Madison, what's that about?
I do. Yeah, it was a good movie.
No, I'm not saying that. Oh,
I know
boy.
what you mean.
Man. Having a debate with you is maddening.
Are you saying that you mean like people they knew what they were going to get into if they saw it?
Yeah, because marketing at the time, they weren't marketing the movie as it's Billy Madison. Everybody, they went, hey, it's the new Adam Sandler movie. Everybody,
the first Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, it's the first. Well, Overboard is the first one.
Ooh, Jesus!
What's that about?
I didn't see it.
What do you think it's about? It's called Overboard.
Oh, there's a movie called Going Overboard.
Right, but this one is Overboard.
Is it about that? Yeah, someone falls off a boat.
You're close enough.
Yeah, I think that's pretty close.
Yeah, you're close enough.
Punch Drunk Love.
Sure.
That's a good one.
Now you're just thinking of Sandler movies.
Well, I know. You got me on a Sandler train.
Jesus.
50 First Dates.
Little Nicky. 50
First Dates. I think 50 First Dates is a perfect example because that one is like when you see the title, you're like, I don't know what that's about. But then you see the movie and you're like, I get it.
Oh, God. So now what we're talking about is literally just what a title is and does.
Yes. Well, it's from Snickers. It's from Snickers. At least
I've never seen that movie.
At least Three Musketeers.
Snickers, the movie. They did it with Battleship. They could do it with this. Snickers, the movie.
He was a horse that became a candy that became a legend.
From the producers of Warhorse, Snickers.
We also did Hidalgo and Sea Biscuits. Any horse movie.
And the one where it was a Disney movie, but the prince turned into a llama.
The Emperor's New Groove. We do all the cloven hooved animals.
And horses.
The last thing we really talked about, discussing today in the podcast.
Oh, we're just done with it?
I don't know. I mean,
let's let the listener decide.
Yes.
You know what? At this point, it got so convoluted.
Yeah.
And so much of the argument was just about like what a title is as an object.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because like the discussion started as one thing, but then by the end we're like, a cup, it holds water, right? But a cup, sometimes it's tall and sometimes it's short, but does it hold water? And that's where the argument was going. We were going it was a weird thing.
My overall thing basically is just that I think that marketing has become way more direct, where I think that let's say, we talk about reboots and the idea that movie studios gamble less. And so they might make Pulp Fiction in 1994 from a director that only has one small movie.
Sure.
And now they don't really take that risk, and they instead focusing on make another movie with an IP that they know is successful already. I kind of think it's the same. Hold on, my dog is tearing up a piece of paper.
I kind of think it's the same with movie titles or with candies.
I think that let's say
Snickers with cashews.
So this is just an example. Brad in his house has a small print, and it says The Shawshank Redemption.
Was a terrible movie. Oh my God, Brad!
I made it. Yeah, I made the print. No,
he loves it. And it has the Bible with the claw hammer cut out in the Bible as a poster, right? I think that a movie studio 25 years ago is more likely to be like, oh, that's a cool idea for a poster. Let's do this. And the person just sees this image and doesn't know what it is at all. And then when they see the movie, they get the full picture of what this represents, right? And now I think something like that would be much less likely because everyone's competing for so much more and taking less risks that they're like, no, let's use Batman's cowl to make sure people know it's Batman. And
it's tricky because you're talking. Well, you just used the example of Batman.
Yeah, I mean, Batman's
that's IP. That is an existing property. They're gonna put it in the fucking poster.
Sure. That's
also,
not Batman.
The print that you're talking about that Brad had.
It's not a mainstream one.
It's not mainstream. It's an alternative thing. It was done after the movie came out.
Yes.
It's not for the production company didn't make that poster.
Yes, that's why I said
your argument though is using things that don't even apply to the argument.
No, I didn't. I said that they'd be more likely to put in something that's obscure to a person that hasn't seen the movie yet. Because I think that's I'll put it this way, Reservoir Dogs. That might, do you really get what that is when you see the poster for it, or is it kind of obscure until you actually see the movie, right? Something like that.
Right.
Versus now, I think that they are our marketing has to give you an idea what this is 100%. as opposed to maybe taking a risk and doing something more artful.
I really do feel like because I watch a lot of different movies than you do, right?
Right.
We're interested in different things, and like you will see every Marvel movie like the day it comes out, kind of deal. Close to it,
sure,
ish.
Yeah.
I think that might be. I really do think that might be coloring. You love the Disney Pixar stuff. You love the Marvel stuff. You love the big corporate shit.
I will.
And I think that might be coloring your impression of this, because all of those companies.
No, I think I pay attention to a lot of.
They're backed up with that stuff, though. That's what I'm saying. Is like that's their mantra. Like, give you what you recognize. Here are the things.
No, I think because I see a lot of stuff from Film School Rejects and the different websites that are just about this movie was announced. This director that did this, let's say Jordan Peele, what he did, Get Out, and then it's like, Us was announced, or whatever it is. All these different things. I see all the marketing for that stuff, and I often see the movies, but
I feel like that's an outlier, because like you're
that's
talking
kind of an
about
outlier.
Like Jordan Peele making that movie was the push. That was the marketing push
well, then
entirely.
It
doesn't matter what the poster says,
or Prisoners or anything like that.
Sure.
Those are movies where they took like a smaller director made a smaller movie, and then that person got a step up from kind of a successful run on a smaller movie, right? I think I do see all the marketing for that stuff, and I do think it's way more straightforward.
It's just tough. It's a weird discussion to have, because we can only pull from
it's only
what
anecdotal.
We know.
Yeah, it's only anecdotal. I do think that is my opinion, though. I think that marketing takes less risks now in general.
And you know what? I fully agree and accept that is your opinion.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
I'll give you a chance to retract it.
1,000,000%, because I'm so open and willing to hear you out.
I think I definitely think that there was a time when playing with that kind of stuff and playing with expectations and kind of creating a mystique around something was just treated differently and treated as part of like marketing or branding or whatever. And as time has gone on, I think especially for things that have a lot of money that go into them, I think it's like they don't want any risk to be involved. And I think that things are just more clearly marketed now. I wonder how you look something like that up. I wonder how you could possibly, because I'm sure someone has like studied this. I'm sure someone has talked about this.
Honestly, I think you would have to go the easiest way, statistically, I guess.
If you look at the top 10 movies from every year or something like that.
I wouldn't even go top 10, because then the problem is if you go with like the top 10,
they're so big.
The chances, they're going to be so.
Yeah, right.
They're going to be the bigger productions. You'd have to go with something, even if it was like Academy Awards, but even then that kind of skews. Because if you go Academy Awards, you're not going to get the massive intake now. Right. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's tough. It is tough
that is a hard one
to measure. Brad, you are out. You've checked out of this discussion.
I was thinking of titles that worked and titles that didn't, and I'm like, no, I think that part of the segment is done. So
they've been rattling around in my head. Blue Ruin, I wanted to say that one.
Yeah. Also, I was thinking of the Mr. Show sketch, Return of the Curse of the Creature's Ghost.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, what should we be afraid of? Is it the ghost? Is it
Ghost Dad?
Yeah, that's funny.
Scary for a different reason now. Ooh, spooky Halloween. Let's transition, and we did definitely get into some hard debate here.
Oh, you know what else?
In the end, who knows who's right?
Sure. I'll look it up.
It was me.
I'll try to.
It was me all along.
Oh yeah. How could you? Any argument you have for mine goes for yours too, where it's anecdotal.
I know we're gonna go in circles the whole time.
I know. Well, I'll have to see. I'd be surprised if no one has done a study at least of the titles.
Oh, I just realized another thing that muddies the waters on this entirely.
Yeah.
The birth of marketing as an industry.
Exactly.
And that screws up the whole skew, like the whole.
I think it just
stretch of this.
I think it's just going to push my point more. You know what I mean?
It's maybe.
I think so.
Maybe. It's also tough because when you talk about like does the title? Let me finish my fucking point. You also have to look at it when you talk about does the title tell you what the movie is?
Right.
The problem with that is sometimes the title will tell you what the movie's about-ish. Sometimes the title will glom onto one thing about it.
Sure.
The problem is you're looking at it after you've seen the movie.
Right.
So you can just apply it to anything in the movie. Even if it is an abstract thing, if it's very obvious through the movie, by the end of the movie, you're like, oh, yeah, of course, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it still
totally.
muddies water. We should just change the topic to something else.
Well, actually,
because we
one
could
last
just do
thing.
this for hours and no one would like it.
Well, one last thing I was going to point out. You know what was a big thing to me when I was a kid that I remember?
How
Porn.
the body became Stand By Me.
You go into perfect example. Thank you. You go into like VHS rental stores when I was like 10 or 12 or whatever. All the horror movies, their covers never at all like represented the movies.
No.
They would just be crazy. Like Jason Goes to Hell, and it would be flames and his mask and a snake coming through it, like with its mouth out. And I think that would never happen today.
Well, horror movies back then, during the VHS period of time, you also get into the weird thing of like terrible, cheap movies coming out, because horror was the genre that everyone could gravitate to, because it's the one genre people will watch just to watch the genre.
Exactly.
Like the people that are fans of the horror genre, they'll watch a horror movie because it's a horror movie.
Right.
Nobody's like, oh, I'll straight up watch a rom-com because it's a rom-com.
Yeah, right.
So when you get into like VHS packaging, 9 times out of 10 in that era,
if you use something from the movie, it would look like shit.
No, they don't even give a shit about what the movie is. They just want to sell the thing to the rental store.
Well, this is what I'm kind of this is what I'm kind of saying is back then I think there was like you think of, even we watched the Nightmare on Elm Street series, where it's like the covers are just bananas and have nothing to do with what the movie is.
They put bananas on them?
But I think that now
it's got a glove, but instead of knives,
it's bananas. It's not even a glove. He just poked his finger into the ends of 5 bananas, and it's like, oh, look out, it's old Freddy Banana Hands. Oh man,
I do think now though,
what's up, bitch?
Even with those low budget horror movies, that
time to get your potassium. No, sorry, I'm into this fun Banana Kruger.
Even if you have a movie that has like an equivalent budget now, I think the poster represents exactly what it is now, and you know what you're getting as opposed to the posters back then. What do you think? Before Ray answers, I want to know what you think.
I think that there have been
like It Follows is good.
There have been websites that are like every major studio movie's poster looks the same, or it's one of 3 different variants or whatever. But and
that's going to be recently,
orange and teal, baby,
because they're not talking about like National Lampoon's Vacation.
No. But like in the past, let's call it 20 years,
which would support what I'm talking about,
right? But those are the big studio movies.
Right.
And not the smaller studio movies or
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the mainstream movies.
Right.
But I think
hold on, because back then, like, art was straight up drawn.
Right.
It wasn't photos.
I mean, no, not necessarily, because there was like some of the Halloween stuff was like, I guess they would have like the house
when
and
you
stuff
when you get into genre stuff like that. But I'm talking like mainstream stuff, like
like National
there was
Lampoon's
just
Vacation.
a period of time. Yeah,
Animal House.
It was drawn.
Yeah. But I think that those represent it pretty good. But the horror movies, it's just like I remember we would just be renting a movie and be like, I have no idea what this is. This cover is more like an album cover.
Well, back then, movies, those genre movies of horror. And sci-fi did it a little bit too, because those were the 2 genres that people were just into. There were fans of a genre.
Yeah.
I mean, look back at like Canon Films and all that stuff. Like they were making movies based on the title.
Yep.
And the poster.
Yep.
That's it. They weren't made. They had the title and the poster before they had the script or any kind of movie put together or anything like that, because it was just churning them out. But now we're going down another rabbit hole.
Yeah. It's just interesting.
Let's get out of these rabbit holes, man. Let's talk about some Halloween stuff.
Well, this is kind of
Brad is sitting here completely fucking quiet. He's checked out. His hands are under the table because he's loading a gun.
I was just gonna, like, Blade Runner is a cooler movie title than Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Sure, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
What about Run Blader?
See, I think
baby,
Blade Runner is kind of more of like the catchiness.
Yes.
But I still think it falls under obscure title.
Okay.
In terms of like what it is. I wonder what Alien. I mean, I guess Alien is straightforward, but it's kind of weird.
All right, what was the next thing
you
wanted
do the
to talk
podcast by yourself?
What about
now.
Aliens in the Attic? No, the last topic we're going to talk about is the fact that we've been talking about our Halloween show. We did our yearly Halloween turtle hunt last week.
Yes, we did.
We saw a couple Halloween
that
movies.
sounds like a goddamn porn company thing. Like it's like, like
Yearly
Bang
turtle
Bus and then Turtle Hunt. You know what I mean? Like, you go to turtlehunt.com.
What is it?
I don't know, and I don't want to think about it.
We did a turtle hunt. We watched a few scary movies.
Oh, they always go after stubby gals.
Oh.
I don't know. I was trying to think of what a turtle was.
Maybe like something that hides, I would think.
No, that's a different kind of video, and I don't want to watch it.
But we've done these traditional Halloween things that we've been doing for the past few years. But this year, Brad and I both, across the board, Halloween spirit is taking a hit.
Super low.
Well, Brad, you're shocking me right now for the fact that you have been so quiet and have a look of just. I've already filed for divorce papers. I just need to get through this family dinner. You know what
I mean? It's a good dinner. I've got chicken pot pie soup. No, I think it's
that
been
was
a weird,
passive aggressive.
It's like September, October. Like I'm just not.
You know what I say? Wake me up when September ends.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm just not.
No one can see the look I gave you. Damn it! It's an audio medium.
I'm just not into it. And this year we haven't had occasions or we haven't had opportunities to celebrate. In that we've been working on the show, so a lot of our friends, both Chuck and I, had parties over the weekend. And I was like, no, we're going to be in Chuck's living room. Go ahead.
You're not telling the truth exactly.
Did we not fucking rehearse?
No, you said
were we not in your living room?
Oh, he did this before the podcast.
Oh no,
we've talked about Brad streaking fits on the podcast recently a few times.
Right. It's just weird because you were so quiet for a while, and then you came back in. I'm like, all right, Brad's coming in. All right, good. And then you're like, are you not entertained? Right? And I'm like, oh God.
He does this sometimes.
All right.
I think.
Is this real? I don't know what is real anymore.
It is. I'm very tired.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to gang up on you.
No,
or
it's all right. I've been feeling.
I don't want to turn this into a turtle hunt.
I've been feeling, but I just think of turtle head. It's when the poop pokes out of your bum.
No.
I don't know why we'd be hunting that, Ray. I don't know why you made a fetish video.
I feel like it's a demure, short, stocky gal.
Okay. What is up with that?
It's a turtle, man.
The arms don't stick very far out.
Yeah. Okay, I get the arms. Sorry, I'm thinking of the head.
Short limbs.
I want a bald one.
Which one, Steven or Alec?
Now I should be shrieking.
I'm so hot because I'm scared.
No, it's.
I'm getting real shooter vibes from you right now.
We haven't really had the opportunity to celebrate, and really just in previous years we've done things with big groups, and this year it's been small groups.
I feel like we have had opportunity to celebrate. This is what I took issue with.
Okay.
Because we did our pumpkin day,
right,
and our Halloween decorating and pumpkin carving,
right.
Then we went to the Jack-o'-lantern spectacular.
Yep.
We did the turtle hunt. I mean, that's probably more celebrating right there than most people do, right?
The way you describe your goddamn day-to-day is like you run a children's camp. It is insane and not how an adult human being should operate.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about? You don't carve a jack-o'-lantern. You think carving a jack-o'-lantern on Halloween is somehow disturbed?
No, I think you saying to another human being, well, we had pumpkin day. What? You know what I'm saying? It's like you sent a letter home with all the kids saying, Thursday's pumpkin day. Make sure you bring in your pumpkin, and we're going to carve all the pumpkins because it's pumpkin day. That's like you saying like, oh, I can't make it that day. Oh, man. No, I can't do it because it's pumpkin day. You know what I mean?
I would say that.
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. I think we have had opportunity to celebrate.
I think then in that case, the groups have been smaller than previous years.
Yes,
right,
I agree. It's hard. It's something. Yeah, it's difficult.
Do you think it's related to just getting older?
I do, but in a weird way.
I asked Brad. Thank you, Chuck.
Okay.
It's no. I think I'm old, and I think I was also old in previous years. Like in the.
That's not how time works.
I didn't say I was as old.
I might have been older in previous years.
Guys, I think I was 65 when I was 12.
I think I watched friends hit these life milestones previously.
Oh God, when Monica and Chandler
adopted,
got married,
Yep.
that was a friend's milestone.
Yes.
Yeah,
Anna Faris had their baby.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah,
good for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't
doing great.
I don't know that it's that. I think it's just our energy. A lot of my energy went to this spooktacular.
mine went to giving plasma.
Wow,
Yeah,
that was nice of you.
Didn't you
Thank
give
you.
plasma?
I gave blood.
This plasma and
Whole
blood.
blood. But I
whole blood. Is that what you just said?
whole blood.
Whole blood. I take 2%.
Just say, none of this is blood.
I've changed to soy blood.
Almond blood.
That was a great time.
In a way, almond milk is like an almond blood.
Yeah.
This is so dumb and fun.
So my Halloween spirit has been low, and I don't know how to reclaim it. It's not like you can do something Christmassy and you get in the Christmas spirit, or you sing Christmas carols and you get in the Christmas spirit. All I can do is sing the Monster Mash.
Yeah. You know what you got to do? You got to get spooked, baby. You got to kill somebody.
Well, I'll give you a truth. I don't want to get too dark in this episode.
Oh no.
But the thing about getting older, right? This is really interesting.
Time makes you bolder.
I think
Children get older.
I think that it's interesting as we have aged. I've gravitated towards a lot more stuff that would how can I put this? Appeal towards families.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You know how some people like basically like party and like do like different things, and they're like, oh, it's Halloween, we're gonna like, I don't know what they're gonna do. They're gonna put on like a crazy bloody outfit and go to a party or whatever. Like, and we want to go and like pick pumpkins and carve jack-o'-lanterns.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference there. I do think that kind of stuff, I think, is what is going to become more of a tradition for people and kind of exist in people's lives. Like I think about myself when I was a kid and my parents and their friends and the people that we had around us doing stuff like that.
Right.
And I feel like I've really gone in that direction of stuff that I think is going to stay, as opposed to stuff that's going to be fleeting and be like, when I was 22, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like a lot of people around me don't see the value in that stuff.
Interesting.
Here's the tricky part, though.
Yes.
You don't have a kid. You don't have a child.
Yeah, but I have a lot
so
of...
you do a lot of these child-based things.
Well, they're not child.
As anyone can attest, the most fun thing to see at, say, a Chuck E. Cheese...
No, it's not.
Or a maybe a bounce house or something like that is a childless man
Chuck E. Cheese.
just there going, I'm trying to embrace all these fun childhood things.
We were at Chuck E. Cheese because we wanted to beat Time Crisis 3.
Yeah,
I do think it's...
You don't understand. I'm on a turtle hunt. Get this man out of here.
Turtle hunt.
Sir, I've told you not to come in here anymore.
Last week, so on the turtle hunt, we recorded it last week.
Yeah.
And one of the things we talked about was we had this huge discussion about people who say stuff like that. And we're like, there's no one that comes at us about that. There's no one that comes at us like, why are we having this discussion? It's Ray. That's who we're defending against.
Funny.
That's really funny. Wow, this is a good tie-in.
You're just a couple of childless men out living your lives.
Well, I think
that's fine.
Thank you.
I think it's more about like, I do think there's a difference between going to Chuck E. Cheese and like going apple picking. I think that those are two different activities.
One is something a child wants to do, and one is something some adults want to do. I don't think a lot. I'm not saying all adults want to go apple picking.
Well,
that's the one you meant, adults.
Anyway, so I think that like going, apple picking, that kind of thing, getting a pumpkin and carving it, that kind of stuff is like the same to me. Different to you?
What are you talking about?
I think it just falls in the same category. As
Getting a pumpkin and apple picking are the same?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were talking about those two produce selecting activities.
Yeah.
Were the same as something else.
Oh no, they just fall into the same category of something that is more traditional.
You're going to get,
but
produce.
It's not like going to Chuck E. Cheese. That's what I think. I think they're both not like that. Because you said they were like that.
No, I didn't.
Oh, that's what I thought you were comparing. That's what we were talking about.
No.
I thought he was comparing us going to Chuck E. Cheese to that Halloween stuff we're doing.
I
Or only the turtle hunt? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it did seem like everything got lumped in with the
That's what I thought you meant. I thought you meant
I'm saying what you were talking about
carving,
of like embracing these things that you used to do as a kid and all that stuff.
Like carving a jack-o'-lantern, stuff like that.
Well, carving a jack-o'-lantern is like whatever. That's fine.
That's what I mean, though.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about like this childlike kind of, I'm trying to hold on to these things.
Yeah.
The turtle hunt, calling it Pumpkin Day.
We don't call it
Again,
Pumpkin Day.
You did.
We called it just now. It's not on our calendars as Pumpkin Day. It's Jack-o'-lantern Day.
Let me see your calendar. Yeah, it's Jack-o'-lantern Day. Yeah. It's Pumpkin Eve and then Jack-o'-lantern Day.
Yes.
To me, what it is, like let's say the people that go are myself, my girlfriend Gina, Brad, maybe my roommate Jordan and his 9-year-old daughter, maybe our friend Laura and her 1-year-old or 2-year-old, one and almost two.
Yeah.
Or those kind of people. All of that to me gets lumped together as like just kind of more of a traditional thing that doesn't have to be branded as like a childish thing to do or holding on to something. It's just kind of like a thing to do around the season.
Oh no,
you know what I mean?
I wasn't like throwing holding on to something as
that's fine.
I was talking about it because you said you're like trying to go back to the things you thought about that you thought were around when you were a kid. That's what I'm saying.
It's not so much going back to them. It's almost like I think that the way that life works is you do that stuff as a kid, then you get away from it and you become an adolescent and you go to college and you kind of are like, oh, I'm this person, and you do the stuff that like I said, like going to parties and doing that kind of stuff, and then you get back to it as you get older and you
when
do the
you
more
have a kid.
Sure, or you just like this is what I'm talking about. This is what I just said. This is the apple picking and pumpkin picking thing. You said adults like to do that, so you keep saying when you have a kid. Do you mean adults like to do it when they have a kid?
No. Now you're hanging on to fucking what do you going mean? And picking apples and shit. To carving like, that's a child thing. That's a child. No, it's not. That's like,
right.
No.
Right. I don't think it is.
No. But I'm talking about like the overall aspect of what you were discussing. Like you just said, you did all these things as a kid. Then you became an adolescent. You got away from it. Then you come back to it.
Yeah.
Apple picking is not one of those things. That's
so?
A different thing. Yeah.
I kind of think of it as pretty similar to like the pumpkin thing, or going to like a.
I think historically it's seen as a
couples thing.
As a couples thing, and it's and historically, as far as me being a comedian, the thing I've always heard, the hack thing, is. The
girlfriend drags
the girlfriend
you?
wants to go to Apple, all that stuff.
I think that the fall farm harvest stuff is similar in my head, but I think it's more of like it goes more around like traditional autumn like values and then like memories.
Autumn values.
You know what I mean? Like I think of it as like
I'm sorry, sir, you're gonna have to take that wreath down. It goes against our autumn values.
I think of like carving a jack-o'-lantern almost as similar to going to see Christmas lights, right?
Yeah.
Similar to that, where I don't think of it as like necessarily being like a kid thing. I think of it as just like you get back to it.
It's tough because like those things I do now for my kid. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing that as an experience with him.
Yeah.
So I think it's difficult. I wonder if part of the feeling of like the groups getting smaller is like parts of that being people are having that next step. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, I think it's the opposite. I think that people don't understand this stuff. I think that they think it's weird. I think that they're doing the coke in the bathroom at a bar on a Saturday night dressed as a...
And I do that with my kid. You know what I mean?
How dare you take your kid out on a Saturday night?
I say to my 5-year-old,
I think that...
only 2 lines, and we're not leaving here until you finger a B.
I think I'm like, oh, let's get us all together, including like, our friends with kids, of which there's a bunch now.
And when I hear you say, we're all going to do a fun thing.
Yeah.
Come and bring Finn. I hear as a parent of a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to voluntarily do another fucking thing? Fuck you. Right? Like that's how I feel about it.
Well, I think a lot of people are more like, oh, I'm not going to do that on Saturday. I mean, on Sunday. On Saturday, I'm going to go to a bar and, whatever. It's going to be like the adolescent celebration of Halloween. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's more like that. I think it's not the step. I think it's the opposite.
Man, this episode is like... let's get into the most fucking
I'm just talking about. Anyway,
tiny microscopic details and argue that instead.
Well, we're talking about Brad's thing. I don't know if it's that.
We're talking about Brad's thing?
Well, we're talking about the idea of not getting into the Halloween spirit, because I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I feel for the first time this year, it's been really hard for me to feel.
Maybe you'll be visited by 3 ghosts.
3, I guess it would be ghosts.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Ghouls.
I would love to be in this instance. I would love to be Jacob Marley, because that means I would die in the next 2 nights.
Man, next Halloween
Uh-oh.
is Ray gonna star in a Halloween Carol? Ray, you've lost the Halloween spirit. That's a good idea.
You've lost the stop fiddling with the fucking cup. It's making so much noise. Now I'm the parent again.
I'm monitoring.
It is maddening.
That's a good idea.
I left a hyper 5-year-old to come here and deal with another hyper 5-year-old. You know what? I think in terms of like losing the Halloween spirit.
Yeah.
Did you lose it a long time ago and you don't give a shit that you lost it?
Yelling at me. What?
Say it.
No.
Okay.
I love Halloween.
Oh,
Halloween's
okay.
like one of my faves.
Okay, yeah, I know it is.
Yeah.
I know.
No, I have a different Halloween thing now. It's just I have a 5-year-old. It's my responsibility to provide this child that I love a great Halloween experience, and also keep him safe and alive and unhurt or molested. You know what I mean?
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Those are the things. So I'm.
Did you do the
I'm
carve?
a parent now. What?
Did you carve a
We
jack-o'-lantern?
cut up a body.
Did you carve a jack-o'-lantern with him?
No, we did painted stuff this year.
Yeah. Well, he's too young
And
to
we-
hold a big knife.
Yeah, and we also we did a bunch of other decoration stuff too. We had to make like little gravestones and stuff like that. He's not there for the jack-o'-lantern yet.
Yeah. I get it.
But no, I absolutely do all of those things with him. It's just I'm a fucking parent, man. Like I keep all the child wonder happening and spinning while also maintaining all of the responsibility of being the parent of that child.
Right.
So at the end of it, I'm just like, you know what I want to do for Halloween? I just want to like watch a movie or something, because I'm tired and it's exhausting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to go.
That sounds more like Brad.
Around the neighborhood and do the trick or treating and stuff.
Yeah.
And I will hand out the candy for the young kids, and that'll be fun, and everything will be fine. And then there's going to come a moment where the shift happens in the kids, and it'll go from kids trick or treating, like the cute little adorable ones, then the fun, kids trick or treating. That's fine. 10. That's great. Mm-hmm. And then it's gonna hit 13, and I'm gonna look at you and just, I don't want to give you candy.
Yeah.
Please leave my yard.
Please
leave my yard.
Sure. I hear you.
You should not be trick or treating.
Yeah.
And I'm that curmudgeon at that point, right? and then we're out of candy. We fucking turn off the lights, and then we go about our business. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like that's just what we do. What I was gonna say though, so don't levy like accusations of me losing my spirit. I have the spirit. If anything, I'm the one making the spirit.
Right.
Okay. Part of I think the concern here too is Christmas is about coming together.
Right.
Christmas is about appreciating moments and doing all that stuff. It's a family-based thing. Christmas spirit, like that's what that's about. Halloween spirit is giddy fun, right? It's just a fun
which I'm
thing.
against.
Okay.
In all forms.
It's
Fun, I mean.
Oh, okay. But no, it's a thing, right?
Yeah.
There's no sense. Nobody's ever just like, hey, it's Halloween. Call your dad. You know what I mean? Like nobody does that.
Yeah.
Make amends.
Probably will call my dad.
It's Halloween.
Yeah.
So that is an issue. So I don't think Christmas has been affected by what I'm about to say. It might be affecting the issue, and I can't believe we're going here. With all of the discussion we've had tonight. Jesus Christ, all this discussion.
The problem
we've had
is late stage capitalism.
No, it's not.
Oh.
Although tangentially you could say that might be a big ass part of this.
Yeah.
I do think the ongoing torrent of fucking insane bullshit politically, constantly, really takes the edge off of some whimsy, right?
Yes.
Because Christmas can exist outside of that, because Christmas is about togetherness.
Sure.
It's about being together, appreciating each other. If anything, Christmas exists as this thing to guard against that outside shit, right?
Sure,
It's the warm light to huddle around. You know, family and love and appreciation.
Right.
Halloween is just fun, abandon. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's being spooked, being scared.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? It's pretty fucking spooky out there. It's pretty scary to begin with, and we are constantly on edge. Not for fear of attack, like, you know, post 9/11 kind of stuff,
Right.
but just we're constantly on edge because everything's changing all the time, everywhere.
Yeah.
And we never have a moment for shit to settle and land.
Right.
Sure.
Ever. And
Sure.
so it's real hard to be like, yeah, spooky fun. You know what I mean? When you're feeling kind of fucking exhausted from that.
Sure.
I think
can
that
see
could be a part of it.
Yeah, sure. I
agree.
Yeah.
I see that.
It's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. I think it is. It's just been a difficult time in terms of. Yeah, there's just the stuff that we do and the group around us and stuff like that. Because I always just want us to be, you know, everybody there for each other. And I think that we've kind of dealt with a lot of the fair weather relationships over the past 8 years or so. There was a specific inciting incident that we refer to kind of as the Biff timeline.
Oh, did somebody not want to respect Pumpkin Day?
Yeah.
It was more of an arrest, but
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
and it really, like, you know, it let these dominoes continue to fall for years and years and years.
Biff was a bully, but he was not that. All right,
Oh,
Biff
come
had
on.
a line,
No inside
and he
jokes.
would not cross.
No inside jokes in that podcast. But
I mean, he sexually assaulted Lorraine in that car.
oh, that's true.
Oh yeah,
But
they were the same age.
But it's hard because I feel like we still feel the ripples of that,
Yes.
and the dominoes falling, and
And you know what? It's important to remember in that situation, you guys were really the victims.
well, Pumpkin Day suffered. Wait
Are you
a
finding
minute.
it hard to maintain that childlike joy?
Wait a minute. Who usually drives us to the farm?
This hayride is haunted with something else now.
Oh, come on. The listeners are going to be lost. We just had a friend, you know, a long time ago, and then terrible things happened. And, but, you know, he went to jail, and a lot of other things happened, I think, one by one, causing...
They were friends with O.J. Simpson.
Yeah. Causing other people to just fall. And we had this really, really tight-knit group that was very supportive that I thought was very positive in terms of helping people.
When did the turn happen? What year was that?
2011.
Okay.
October.
I'm going to point out something, and I know...
September, October.
September 29th.
Ooh, okay. I know you're gonna argue that it's a lot of different things, and I understand that there are many factors at play. Okay.
Yeah.
What I will say is this:
Yeah.
you are 35.
Yeah.
35 years old.
Yes.
There is a huge difference between
26.
2019, 35 years old,
Yeah.
and 2000. What did you say?
11.
Yeah.
So we're talking. You were in your 20s.
Yeah.
There is a big difference there,
There is a
and that
big
is a
difference.
natural thing. What you just described about we were a tight knit thing, and we
Well,
were going to
yeah,
be
I
together
agree, I
forever,
agree.
and
I-
everybody was there for each other, and we're all buds, and we should buy one big plot of land and all build our houses together and live forever, and we can all raise each other because it takes a village to raise everybody, and then we'll have our graveyard, and everybody will be together, and it's going to be the best. That happens in your 20s, and then you hit your 30s, and then people start getting married. Some people get divorced, and they have kids, and all these things happen, and then all of a sudden you look back and you go, shit, where did that group of friends I spent all the time with? And I know there are other circumstances going on.
I think there are only other circumstances.
Okay, so that your
saying-
group is the only group in
I'm
existence
just
that
saying-
never ever felt the test of time.
Oh, I think it's more about the fact that people, when people, how can I say this? I think that the fewer people that are close to you, it's the easier it is to make bad decisions and do bad things and do inconsiderate things because you don't have people talking to you and kind of pressuring you to do the right thing. I think that the more people that are close to you, I think it's easier to get advice and for people to feel comfortable talking to you honestly and maybe even saying like, I don't know if that's a good idea, than it is when you push people away.
So like the big group that you had, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's so like that's the thing. Is so when this starts to crumble and people start to push each other away, I think things change.
Before it crumbled, like you did have that big group where everybody could talk and trust each other.
Pretty much.
And then one of them did a real bad thing.
Well, that's the thing. Well, I'm not saying that. If you think I'm saying that no one has ever made a bad decision if they've had friends, that's not what I'm saying.
No, I know.
Okay. Well,
I'm just.
That's what it sounds like.
I'm just trying to do a podcast here.
Yeah. But I think that there is the idea of like, you know, people like our buddy Peter Maldonado, like just kind of like naturally growing up and having like a family that grows, and I think that affecting people close to us, like that progression, it's not really part of it, right?
I don't think it's a primary part of it.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's hard to even point to a case that is that, right? So I think that there was just so it is stuff like, you know, like you're talking about, like people grow and change.
Sure.
And that could be a positive change or a negative change or an inconsiderate thing or a divorce or whatever.
I think it's a mix of a lot of different things, but I do think that part of it is the idea that things just in general
shift,
like right now,
priorities shift.
No, not even
you
that.
mean in
just now?
Like
the world of 2019 makes it really hard to kind of give in to this kind of extra whimsy, you know?
Yeah, right.
And because it's a different kind of whimsy.
Yeah.
You know, it's a tough thing. So I get it. I completely get it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other factors involved. I mean, if you can have like a rough year, you can have a really busy time where you can't settle in and enjoy it.
And I will say, one of the things that's been difficult for me, and like I hope this doesn't sound you know,
racist,
is that these people moved in next door.
In the church?
In the church.
Oh, man.
By the way, I just saw someone walk into the side door of the church for the first time since I lived here. It's pretty strange. Out of the window.
That's cool.
No,
it's Halloween.
Yes.
Spooky.
You know, I started doing the Tom Steve Dave video stuff consistently about a year and 2 or 3 months ago. Consistently. I've worked at Providence Monthly for a little bit over a year now. I've worked at Motif for 2 years now. And so much more of my work is like when I'm alone in my house, that's when I work, because this is where I do my video editing and my writing. And it takes up so much of my time now to do all this stuff, including podcast editing or whatever comedy stuff I have that we have to do and by myself, that like I think I don't really enjoy things at all that I used to do alone, which could be reading. I used to read books. I used to read comic books. I used to play video games by myself, and or even watch movies that I liked that maybe Gina doesn't like, or you know, some people that people that I'm friends with don't like necessarily. And all that stuff has disappeared from my life. Like over the course of the past year, 100% of my leisure time is spent with my girlfriend or my friends or my family. None of it is the stuff that I like.
Does Gina know that you find your time with her to not be...
It's leisure time.
Leisure?
No, it is. 100% of my leisure time is that.
Okay.
So like today, I'll put it this way.
I like the idea of you saying, so I'm still working, man.
No, like today. So like last night we did the show.
Yeah.
I came home. I organized the footage and I put away props until 3:30. And then I had plans to wake up at 10:30 today and go to Salem with Gina. And we came back here 20 minutes before we started podcasting. So all the stuff I did alone doesn't exist in my life. And I wonder how that affected just kind of how I experience the season of Halloween, or like that kind of stuff.
Right.
The
I believe
stuff
it's
that I like with myself.
Season of the Witch.
Yes.
But that might be.
I'm trying so desperately to make this like
funny
and fun.
Well, we can have a serious discussion. But I do.
Ironically, you're talking about how you can't seem to get in the spirit, and I'm here going,
like, hey,
it's right here, guys. Look in my pocket. What's this? A little bit of Halloween spirit for you.
But I do think that has changed my, just like the way that I ingest or experience a lot of stuff that I like. I think it's really changed it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that kind of has maybe affected my Halloween spirit as well. But yeah, and it does feel like when I try to do like fun things with friends, it does feel like it's just hard to get people to do shit.
Yeah,
it's weird because me and you have a very different view on friendships, and I don't want you to ever take that to be a confrontational statement.
He's addressing Ray and not me.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a different view on friendship.
Friendships. I think
friendships. Yes,
that's different.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we also that to say that ignores the entirely obvious fucking situation.
Yeah. Right.
You don't
fine.
have a kid, man.
Exactly.
I have a different life than you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
My time and responsibilities are very different.
Yes, exactly.
You know, if I go do a thing, I'm actively taking time away.
This is the leisure
from this other person.
So this is the same thing I just said, but basically flipped. So I said all my leisure time is this.
Right, but your work won't grow up to then ask you why you weren't there.
No, the leisure time part of it. The work is the opposite time.
Yeah, sorry.
So
Now
I get it, 100% of the leisure time.
What do you think are some really fun costumes, but would be really difficult to walk around the block trick or treating?
We can,
in? I thought that's what this fucking Halloween episode was going to be. This has been just exhausting and laborious. This has been. How are people listening? Nobody's made it this far into the podcast.
It's laborious.
Look, I'm gonna fucking smash your computer. No one's listening at this point.
No.
It's
I think it's
so
good.
heavy and just.
No, I think that this is kind of. I think that the podcast doesn't have to be funny all the time.
You brought me out here on
I'll tell you
false
this.
pretenses.
Ready for this?
I have been tricked.
I have some lighthearted stuff to follow this.
Thank fuck.
Yes. But I'd like to finish this.
I know.
Okay.
Me too. Me
All
too. We did an episode called it was called something like The Crushing Feelings of Failure or something like that.
Sure.
And we talked about the idea of creative stuff.
Yeah.
How you feel like.
I don't need to be.
How do you break through?
Need to be a guest on that.
Listen. And someone wrote me and they were like, listen, I do this, and the person lives halfway across the country, and they're like, I do this stuff. I feel like this all the time, and I don't know who to connect to talk about this or kind of sympathize. And I thought it was awesome you guys did this episode.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff, I think it's there's a place for
when
it.
you asked me to come on,
I think that
you
you're
asked
the
me
place
to come on to the Halloween episode. I'll come on for the hey, my life is fucking sometimes nightmarish because of the fact that I am a self-employed person and am my own boss. It's the worst.
Yeah.
I'll come on and do that episode. That's fine.
Yes,
I'll go as deep as you want with that shit.
Yes.
You ever want to do a daddy issue episode? I'm here for it. Okay. This is the Halloween one. You asked me to come and do the Halloween one.
What if the real monster was inside of us all along?
Ray,
it turns out he was for a while. Then he got out of me.
there is nothing spookier than our collective
he left
depression.
some DNA. No, I'm just kidding. He said he would just whispered in my ear and he said I was turtle hunting. Let me fill up my water glass.
Yeah, go for
and
it.
have a think about what we're doing.
All right. Well, while Ray is filling, are we closing this topic?
Sure.
Right.
I've been interrupted enough. It's dead.
What?
I counted 7. But go ahead. Get your water. Good. What were you gonna say, Brad?
I'm gonna talk slowly so Ray can get his water.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about. This is my lighthearted moment of Chuck letting me down.
Oh, tell me.
Back, I think it was September 10th or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So early.
Warn them.
That was good.
He had a chance to warn them.
Hold on, 5 more minutes. I'm playing Super Mario Galaxy. Ooh, what time is it?
I was supposed to do something this morning.
My phone just all the texts start going off. Anyway, go ahead.
I bought a Halloween card that Chuck and I.
No, this is your fault. Go ahead. What? Yeah, Ray wants to use a hand towel. Go ahead.
Here's what it was. I bought a Halloween card, and I said, Chuck, let's write something on this, and we'll mail it to Ray.
Yeah.
And I wrote something on it.
Well, that's because this is just to give the callback of last year.
Because last year we got Ray a card. It was terrible. It wasn't funny at all.
Yeah.
And we had him read it on the podcast.
Yeah.
And so this year I'm like, let's mail it to him. Let's get it to him way ahead of time. It's funny to get a Halloween card on September 12th. And so I bought this card. I wrote in it, and I sat down tonight, and it's still here.
Yep.
Oh, that's a shame.
So happy Halloween, Ray.
Oh, thanks, Brad. Hey, Chuck, you really made his. You made his sadness worse.
Whatever you told me to do in this,
I told you to write something.
you got to be a little bit more Like, I'll put it this way. If you go like this, if you're like...
I told her to write something and I reminded you twice about
All
it.
right, if it's like...
Now watch Chuck make it your fault.
Oh, I'm watching.
If it's 6:30 and you're like, I'm coming over, we're going to podcast, right?
Yep.
And you're like, oh, let's make sure we write in Ray's card before the end of the night. And that's all you say, and then 6 hours go by and you leave.
Uh-huh.
I might forget that.
Okay, so I will be more responsible in our jokes about Ray. About making sure
Ray? Okay, remember when I wanted you to sign the Gramercy Blu-ray?
Yes.
What did I do? I got a Sharpie, I picked it up, and I said, here, sign this. We're signing this right now. And you signed it right then.
I set it down on the table. I'm sorry I didn't put a pen in your hand. Next time I know, I will get you a Freddy Krueger pen glove.
I'll put it this way.
And you can sign it 5 times.
I think if I said to you, hey, sign this Gramercy thing before you leave in 4 hours, and I just put it on the middle desk, on the middle thing, you might have forgotten about it.
But then if you reminded me 2 weeks later, do you think I'd forget about it again?
Maybe. I did. I mean, I will say, we were supposed to sign that Gramercy thing multiple times, and I mentioned it to you multiple times, and you never did it until 2 days, 2 weeks ago.
When did you sign it?
Same time.
Oh, okay.
What's the worst thing that you got trick-or-treating when you were a kid?
Okay, ready?
Pennies.
I got pennies too, man. It sucked. Pennies sucked, man. Yeah. Pennies.
I will say,
pennies, dude.
I cannot remember an alternative to candy that I get trick-or-treating.
Really?
I don't remember one.
Interesting.
I can remember that I got like fruit-based candy, and I just wasn't down, and I would trade for chocolate.
Get that chocolate. I understand.
I don't know.
Ray, could you please read the card for our podcast listeners?
Yes. It says, so it's a picture of it's like an old timey photograph.
Yes.
That has then been colored, like it's made to look like someone drew on it, but it's like illustrated. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And they're dressed in Halloween costumes. Mm-hmm. And then there's word bubbles or whatever you want to call it.
Speech bubbles.
Speech bubble?
I think so.
I think it's thought bubble. Speech.
I think it's bubble.
Bubble. All right. And one is saying, "Did you fart?" And the other one says, "Nope." And then you open it up, and then it says, the same one that asks the previous question now asks, "Did you shart?" To which the other responds, "Yup."
Now you want to hear my...
And then, no.
I think it's a logistical flaw.
Please stop interrupting me.
Okay.
No, I can't believe you said that. That was so weird. And it just says, "Hope you get twice the treats on Halloween." Doesn't even really make sense.
There's two logistical flaws. You want to hear what they are?
Yes.
One, if you shart, you do fart. So he should have said yes to both, right? A shart, it was made up of a fart.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I could say that's one that I would allow.
Right.
Yep.
Second thing.
Yep.
I don't think that if you fart and then you shit that you've got twice the farts. I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. I
the
wouldn't say.
multiplication doesn't add up.
Now I know the reason Chuck didn't sign it is because he disagreed.
The premise of
Well, you know what? You make an interesting point because you said with point one, if you shart, you fart.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And he says no. So,
Yeah.
Scientifically, we can establish by the first statement that he does not believe a shart includes a fart.
Right.
It precludes
Yes.
a fart.
Yes. Right.
A shart is absent of
A fart.
a fart.
Right.
Right.
But then the very next panel,
Yep.
did you shart? Yep. And then it says, "I hope you get twice the treats."
Right.
But we've already established
Right.
that a shart is just one thing. It's just shit, guys.
Yep.
It's shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because apparently this is positing that a shart is just shit.
No fart.
No
No
fart.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. What did
And then what
So
you wrote,
how could it equal 2 farts is the question.
what you wrote
Yes.
in the card.
Yes.
Ray, I bet Chuck doesn't sign this fucking card. No. Ray, congratulations on your new job as greeting card writer. This is your best one yet. That's very good. Thank you. Yeah, that's very good. And I do appreciate that you wrote, you didn't say from or love or anything like that. Best wishes.
Yeah.
Just a dash.
Yep.
Says it all.
Yep.
Man of few words. And then you wrote B and C.
Yeah, so I guess Chuck didn't have to sign it.
Yeah, you knew.
Yeah.
There's a
You
second
knew.
mathematical issue in this card.
No, he just.
By the way, I
he
hope
just
I didn't
knows
come
you
across
well.
as like seriously mad that Chuck didn't write on that.
Oh,
like,
you did.
Giving it,
You absolutely did.
giving it to Ray on the podcast.
It was fine.
Works
Oh wait, it's
perfectly.
mine. I was giving it
sure
back.
is.
Jesus.
I think by the way, with signing stuff,
Yeah.
man, we got to it's got to be like let's do it now. Here it is, blah blah blah.
Yep.
Because the Gramercy thing has been a problem. That took a long time to
Yes, it
sign.
did.
That guy, I feel bad. The Ray card, and you gave me a card.
Don't play the Ray card.
You gave me a card that we were supposed to send out for St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
And I think we're both yet to sign it.
That's true. Hey, you know what? 5 months away.
We gotta get well. We got it for last St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, well, they don't know that.
It says St. Patrick's Day 2019 on it. Yeah, we'll cover it up.
Vintage.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
But I do have an actual lighthearted gift.
All right.
For both of you, for each of you.
Okay. Ooh, is it our dwindling friendships and how Ray thinks that's the right thing to happen to us?
What? Jesus Christ. If that's your takeaway, best of luck.
One of the rejected Halloween costumes last night that Ray
Yes.
approved of was Freddy Cougar.
Let's not approve relative to,
right, yeah,
relative to the rest.
others.
Enjoy this Freddy Krueger Toonie Terror figure.
Wow, where'd you get that from? I didn't know you were
look at
getting that.
Chuck Staten and I have
Wow.
watched the It films together
Wow. Why'd you get these? Oh, you know what's funny?
because I didn't have topics for the podcast, so I brought gifts, baby.
Oh, Brad got me the original Pennywise action figure. Thank you, Brad.
Well, thank you very much, Bradley.
Yeah,
I
I didn't
appreciate
expect
it.
that.
You know, the best way to regain Halloween spirit is to bring
give
Christmas
it.
spirit.
And you know what?
gift.
I appreciate it so much. I actually brought a gift for you as well.
And I brought the soup for you and Ray.
Yeah.
Wow, so the only person who would be a dick if they didn't bring something. Go ahead, Ray. What is it?
Hold on. The soup is not based on Halloween.
Yeah, it is. I only go to Salem to get this soup around Halloween. I completely connected to Halloween. Agreed?
I agree that you connected to Halloween, but you've also gotten it in Newton, Massachusetts when we were hanging up
Oh,
flyers.
also the Super
So-
Claus thing.
Yes.
What I did was I got you a gift as well.
He's reaching for it.
And that's it's $10.
Thank you.
That's for you.
I could spend it on whatever
And
I
I
want.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Do you want to know how much the soup was?
how much was the soup?
I got change.
Was it $10? It was worth the joke.
Well, thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
And you know what I just remembered? That I watched the original It, and we were going to discuss it on the Halloween podcast after you watch it too.
Yep.
What'd you do?
Didn't watch it.
Did you just forget about it?
Yeah.
Me
yeah.
too. Me too. That's all right.
This is just. Remember when I said way back that you looked like you had already signed the divorce papers and
Yeah.
just had to get through the dinner?
I'm through the dinner.
That's what this feels like right now. Because now both of you are like, and what did you do? What did you do?
I forgot
You
too.
blew it.
No.
I just said I forgot too.
No, it's fine.
We can do it. We'll cover it next week.
Yeah.
We always do a post Halloween
Hey,
show.
how do you
too.
guys? Oh my fucking god! How do you guys feel about those? I mean, people talk shit about those candy corns. I don't think they're that bad. I could eat
Well,
like maybe
you're
5
wrong.
of them.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
this is my point of no return.
No, I could eat maybe 5 of them and then I'm good. I had the candy corns.
Well,
but
Ray-
here's hold on. Here's the I counted it 7 times. You interrupted me. So what you know? Nobody talks about the real problem, and that's those fucking weird pumpkins that sometimes come with the
Mellow
candy
cream
corns.
Oh,
pumpkins.
those
Those are
weird.
disgusting.
Those are weird.
I agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
Those are gross.
Wow.
They shouldn't exist. Nothing candy corn texture, consistency, structure, flavor
I hear you.
should be big enough to require taking a bite out of.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good input.
That's what the
That's a good
pumpkin is
point.
too much.
Yeah,
too much.
I'm not really a big fan of candy corn, but I will have a couple around Halloween.
Yeah, and
That's
I
what
don't-
was
and
your
I'm-
5 was probably
Yeah,
right.
and I'm an OG candy corn guy.
Sure.
I don't like the candy corns that
Do you like the
randomly
brown
have
ones?
I don't understand
Yeah,
what's
I don't
going
get
on
it.
there, or like flavors I think are gross.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that tries to get in on candy corn and make it candy corn flavored
I'm not interested.
Yeah.
in that
can go
either.
straight to hell.
I think candy corn-
just like Jason.
Yeah.
See, I'm Halloweening it up.
All right, Ray. Well, thank you for coming on, buddy. We had a fun Halloween with you. What?
No, we got 1 good minute. We got 1 good minute of Halloween out of it.
I like the idea. I don't like candy corn. Yes. Ray, thanks for coming on again. I appreciate it. We had a lot of fun.
I'm glad that you did.
Sometimes a podcast can be a real discussion, and you just don't like it on Halloween, I guess, right?
I just thought I was coming for a Halloween episode, and I guess it wasn't that.
I was having a bad day.
I hear you.
But do you feel a little better now?
I'm psyched to give you guys gifts.
Yeah,
that feels good. I'm psyched to eat this soup.
Oh yeah.
I still don't know if it's safe to eat.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm gonna eat mine.
No, you're good.
I don't know how lobsters react to long car rides.
No, you're fine. It wasn't that long.
It's been a long time.
It's not that long.
All right,
you're fine.
No, I am feeling better. It's just one of those. It's a Megrims kind of day. So
Megrims?
Yeah, I've got a case of the Megrims.
What the fuck?
Like I'm just me and I'm grim.
Oh.
It must be from a book that no one else knows about.
Well, no, it's from Stephen King books.
Which one?
Which everyone knows about.
Not right.
I didn't know about the Megrims.
Megrims and wool gathering are two phrases that I picked up from his books. So
what does wool gathering mean?
Gathering wool, you idiot.
It's when you ask a question and I'm thinking about something else, especially something in the past. I say, "Oh, I'm wool gathering."
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Because the main character was thinking about when he used to gather wool.
That's correct. Yes, he writes a lot about former shepherds. Yeah,
he's got a thing for shepherds.
Yeah, I like
People
that.
used to be shepherds.
Yeah.
Folks out there, if you have questions, comments, concerns, or otherwise, if you have ideas on how to reclaim one's Halloween spirit, please send us an email, chuckandbrad@gmail.com, or find the email link through chuckandbradpodcast.com.
Yeah, and if you have anything for us to say to Ray, you can write us in and we'll tell him. We'll pass it along.
And if you are yourself, listener, are in the grimy Megrims, you should, if you need to reclaim your Halloween spirit,
yes,
don't listen to this episode of the podcast.
Yeah,
know that other people are also experiencing that. That's what the podcast is here for.
You are not
Sorry
alone.
about Ray's comments.
You are not alone.
Good, I like that.
I am here.
Sing the Michael Jackson song from Free Willy. Hold me.
I don't know. Hold me closer, tiny dancer.
That's it.
Count the.
I'll never listen to that song again.
Headlights on. Yeah.
That's all I've got.
It's all I got.
Deuces.
Happy Halloween.
When heroes become villains, embrace a life of crime. The faith in your convictions rots away over time. My body begins burning, both my lungs smoke filled. The bones of all my yearning laid out and beckoning still. We never talked about goodbye. You never asked about our death and afterlife. Fire crept up slowly, weakening my heart. My prayers for those unholy couldn't stop your black arts. A match was made in heaven, a deal was made in hell. In a sacrifice of brothers, I lost part of myself. We never talked about goodbye. You never asked about our death and afterlife. done, say goodbye. For all you've done, I say goodbye. Into the flames I send you. We never talked about goodbye. You never asked about our death and afterlife. For all that's undone, say goodbye. For all that's undone, say goodbye. For all you've done, I say goodbye. To the flames I send you.